Today it'll be quite warm.
Good morning, everybody on Facebook, and how are you? Happy 4th of July. Look who's here. Yeah, it's Todd Schmiegel. We're talking plumbing today, and if you have a plumbing question, well, he's the guy, right? Give us a call in our studio, 803-0930. Outside Buffalo, 1-800-616-WBEN. Write your question here on Facebook, or write it in on our text board as well, same as our call-in number, 803-0930. Good morning and welcome. We're about to begin.
WBEN Paul Davis Restoration Newsroom is a news feed that never stops. Stay in the know and follow our updated X feed for the latest by following at WBEN.
Here we go. Happy 4th of July. Good morning. It's Dominic Cortez, and Hammer Time Radio starts right here, right now.
When you want the work done right, call Dominic Cortez. Call Cortez, your man home improvement.
Leaking roof? Need new windows? Looking to remodel your kitchen or bath? You've come to the right place and the right time. Broadcasting on News Radio 930 WBEN since 1989, this is Hammer Time Radio. Now, your host, your man for home improvements, Dominic Cortez. Brought to you by Lakeshore Savings Bank, putting people first since 1891.
Good morning, homeowners, and welcome once again to Hammer Time Radio here on WBEN. Welcome to Chris Giacobello to our Saturday morning lineup. I know you're going to do a great job in the newsroom, Chris. Well, did you hear this, folks? Yes, some good news. Hochul suggests a slowdown on state climate law. How do you like that? Can you believe that I actually said those words? Hochul suggests a slowdown on state climate law focusing on consumer utility rates. I can't believe I'm reading this, but it's true. The climate change debate here in New York State is heating up once again, with Governor Hochul apparently now backing off some of the expectations of the state plan to convert from fossil fuels to renewable energy. So I don't know what's going to come of that, but certainly we're going to keep you in touch. I think maybe the people from National Grid finally got into her ear and said, you know what, we're not ready for this, because that's basically what I heard was said. So, yeah, I think this is a move in the right direction so that we all don't fall on our face with an expectation that can't be met, which is definitely what was going to happen should we moved ahead in the timeline and the agenda that was being painted. Anyway, nothing official yet, but we'll certainly keep you up to date on all of that. And special show for you today as we celebrate the 4th of July. We say good morning to a good friend, Todd Schmiegel, from Schmiegel Plumbing, our plumber at Cortez Construction. Tado, good morning.
Good morning, Dominic. Good to be with you again. Always a lot of fun to be here. It's been a little while since you had me here. I'm a little upset, but it's okay.
Yeah, well, hey, consider yourself lucky, okay? You're here today.
All right. Thank you very much, Tom. So what are we going to talk about today?
I don't know. What do you want to talk about?
Well, a lot of things come to mind, either hot water heaters, a debate on tankless and tank style.
Sure.
The importance of properly installing a water-powered sump pump.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, it's a lot we can talk about.
Because there's a little bit to know about putting those in right.
Correct, yeah, and they're a great device to have when the power goes out, so you want to make sure it's put in properly so it works for you when you need it.
Okay. All right, well, let's start with hot water tanks, since we seem to have caught on quite a bit of conversation about that over the last few weeks. The debate between tankless and tank. How do you make that decision?
Well, there's value both ways, and tank-style hot water heaters have been around forever, and I guess they're relatively inefficient, but they're old and they work, but they have a limited supply of hot water, and that's the downside to it. So if you have a household where you're taking back-to-back showers in the morning or evening, whatever it is, you're going to run out of hot water unless you put two of them in or a big one, and so that's where the tankless come in nice. They work really well. If anything, I don't want to say there's a downside to tankless, but they're a little bit more money to put in.
Sure.
There's a little bit of maintenance to them, too, which is important to do every year.
Descaling.
Yeah, you got to descale them. And it's not a terribly hard project to do, but that's what keeps them working well in a longer period of time. So it sort of boils down to cost, what works for you and, how much you want to pay.
Okay. Now, maintenance on a hot water tank.
Draining a hot water tank's not a bad idea. I mean, you got sediment built up on the bottom. When you have city water, our water is hard, and some people put softeners on, which is not a bad idea. So draining the tank helps get rid of some of the sediment. Not going to get rid of all the sediment on the bottom, unless you take the thing out and turn it upside down. You're not going to get it out. But when you get some of that sediment out, it helps the heat from the flame to transfer to heat the hot water quicker.
Okay, which makes sense, right? Now, if you have a big household, the argument is that a tankless unit is going to serve you better because you're not going to run out of hot water.
Yeah, exactly. And you have to make sure that the tankless unit you put in can handle your load. So there's two different things to a tankless you have to worry about. Is gallons per minute. So if you have 2 showers going, or a shower and a dishwasher or wash machine, you got to make sure you have enough gallons per minute to feed both of them. And the other big thing is the rate of rise, which means what's the water temperature coming in, and what do you want to deliver to? Typically 120 degrees is what you want the output to be at, which is great. It works well. But on a summer day like today, the incoming water is maybe 60 or 70 degrees, which is reasonable. But January and February, at the end, where the ground's colder, the water's coming in colder. If you don't have a good rate of rise product, you're not going to get up to that 100 degrees.
One of the criticisms that we often hear about for tankless units is the time it takes for the water to get hot and flow to you in a temperature set.
That would be the same for both. The tank it's about the piping. So if your bathroom is a good distance away, regardless if you have a tank or tankless, it's going to take the same time. What you can do is put a hot water return line in with a pump, and that will keep the water hot in the pipes all the way up to your bathroom faucet. So when you turn it on, there's only a moment before the water gets hot.
So I explain how those work. So if a tankless unit fires and it starts to send hot water, and the time it takes to get from the unit to the shower might be a distance, as you said. How does the recirculator work?
Well, the recirculator is always going to be on, if you will. So even if you're not using the faucet or anything in the house, it's going to want to recirculate the water in that line to keep it a certain temperature. And then when you are ready to turn the water on, that pipe is loaded with hot water already. And once again, it's tank or tankless. You can do it with either style.
Yeah, because my house is a candidate for that based on the distance from my shower to the unit.
Correct. Now, there's 2 ways of doing it. Either when your house is initially built, to do the third pipe coming down, a hot and a cold and a return line, which works out the best. But there are aftermarket devices where you place the device under the bathroom sink and allows actually the water to recirculate. We can talk more about that another time. I forgot the name of that product. But regardless, there is another way of retrofitting a house after the fact to put a hot water return line in.
Okay, so let's get into the whole discussion about the proper installation of a water siphon sump pump, which I happen to think is an invaluable piece to have in your repertoire to avoid problems with a power outage.
Yeah, especially if you have a finished basement or anything of value in your basement, you want to keep it dry. So you have your everyday 3rd horsepower electric sump pump doing its job every single day of the week, and it discharges it outside and hopefully into a conductor, which takes that water to the street.
Right.
Sometimes it just takes it to a splash block, and that's okay too, as long as the water goes far enough away from the house.
Exactly.
So now you decide you want to put in a water-powered sump pump or a siphon, like you said. There's a couple different manufacturers, and they both work well, or all of them work well. But the 2 biggest thing is, one, you need to discharge it separately. You cannot have them tied together, and here's the reason why. If both pumps are tied in one discharge, and your main pump check valve fails, or in some cases not even there, which is a scenario I just seen this past week, the water-powered sump pump is not going to lift the water outside. It's going to go to the path of least resistance, which is back into your sump pump pit.
So you recirculate it.
So not only are you not taking water out, you're adding to the problem.
Right.
So totally detrimental. So one of the best things you can do is put a water sump pump in with a separate discharge outside.
Okay.
Now, the discharge outside it has to go to a splash block. And you're wondering, why can't I tie it into the conductor and take it out the street? Well, you're going to want to know when your water-powered sump pump turns on. Now, if the power turns off, and you're
I know when mine goes on. It sounds like a hammer hit the house.
Okay, and that's a good thing, because say you trip a breaker or your main pump fails on the day where the power's still on, you want to know your backup pump's coming on because there's a problem. So if you're discharging it onto the lawn, it'll either melt the snow in the wintertime, or you'll see a disturbance in your lawn. You're going to know that there's an issue. So very important you discharge it correctly.
It's so important to talk about the proper path of discharge when you try to consider the value of, but not only your sump pump discharging properly, but also your gutters discharging properly, because that water can cycle right back into the basement if it's not piped well enough away.
Correct. Newer houses, when I say newer, probably the past 30 years, all have conductors, or you can call them a bubbler to the street, and it takes your rainwater away from your sump pump, from your gutters, and that's a great thing. Older houses, there was a mandate back in the 50s and 60s in most towns.
Right.
So that water is now hitting your grass, and it's sort of stagnant and maybe finds its way back down your foundation wall into your basement, and it's doing a vicious circle. So you have to have a professional look at it to make sure that water's going away. Why pump the water twice or 3 times if you don't have to?
So President Trump is attempting to reverse the mandate of low flow, both on toilets and on shower fixtures. What do you think of the engineering of that in terms of the impact it's going to have on water flow and fixtures?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, when they changed to low flow toilets, back 30 years ago, from 3 gallons to 1.5 gallons, those was a disaster as far as those toilets were going.
Right.
People were going out of state or wherever to get toilets, but the manufacturer stepped up. And
That's right.
And the toilets of today, the 1.5 gallons, and actually they're down to 1.28 now.
Right.
I don't know if everyone knows
Yeah.
that or not. They're down even a little lower. These toilets flush far better than the 3-gallon toilets.
It's all in the
years ago.
engineering.
So it took some push to the manufacturers, and they're doing a better job. One of the downsides of not having enough water in your toilet to flush is not necessarily the emptying of the toilet, but it's the horizontal piping in your house that doesn't have enough flow or push of water to take the debris away, and sometimes that's where the sewers start to plug up in houses. So the plumbing codes have been altered over the years to change what size pipe you need for toilets. It's always 3-inch or larger, but how many toilets can you put on one discharge line? So they changed that to help it out.
What about the fact that a lot of people complain about the vacating of the toilet, not to get too graphic, which requires a second flush, and how are we being economical with water if that's the case?
I want to say it's a poor quality toilet, and when I'm working on your jobs, you always provide a good flushing toilet. It makes me happy because I never get a phone call 2 days later or a month later saying it's not working right. So I don't know if we should mention
Kohler Highline.
Yeah, okay, thank you. I wasn't sure if we should mention manufacturers, but that Kohler Highline, it's a great toilet. It always works well.
Yeah,
and there's other
it's our
manufacturers.
toilet of choice. Well, participate in the discussion if you have a plumbing question for Todd Schmiegel. He's our plumber at Cortez Construction. Give us a call in our studio line, which is 716-803-0930. Outside Buffalo, 1-800-616-WBEN. The Volkswagen of Orchard Park tax board, open and operating, same as our call-in number, 803-0930. We're broadcasting on Facebook Live as well. You can check us out there, and you can write your question there. And I always forget to tell, Jerry reminds me, and I still forget, we are rebroadcast, this first hour, rebroadcast at 6 p.m. on Saturday. So if you know anybody who can't listen now, well, they can listen then, again, at 6 p.m. on Saturdays. By the way, the first of our 2 pizza workshops is this Monday, the 7th of July. Pizza workshop on the 7th and on the 21st of July. August 11th, it's the Frutte de Mare class. That one is not to be missed. And August 18th, it's Summer Antipasto. These are the next few classes coming up in our repertoire. Come Home to Cortez Cooking School with our wonderful chef, Jerry Clemente. The cooking school is in our Come Home to Cortez showroom at 9074 Main Street in Clarence. Check it all out online at Cortez.net. Drop-down menu, Come Home to Cortez Cooking School. Register today. The pizza workshops will sell out, so if you want to take advantage of them, I think the 7th may already be sold out or close to that. We'll check out July 21. That's the next. This is held outdoors in our courtyard with our Uni pizza oven, and Jerry, of course, at the helm, putting it all together for you. It's a hands-on experience for the cooking school, for the pizza workshops. And you can also give the gift of a class, too. It's all there at our drop-down menu. Come Home to Cortez Cooking School. And also take advantage of everything we do at Cortez Construction, which includes our room additions, our kitchen and bath renovations, our beautiful Bella Cucina custom kitchen cabinet line, and bathroom vanities, better living sunrooms, solar shades, retractable awnings. And then there's the corkscrew. TMP of Buffalo We are the helical pier contractor for techno metal posts. Check it all out online at Cortez.net. Good morning from Dominic Cortez. And before you pick up the hammer, before you pick up the drill, pick up the phone and give me a call. I'd love to talk to you. Well, before we talk to you, though, let's travel to the Snyder branch of Lakeshore Savings Bank and say good morning to Leo Rollo. Hey, Leo.
Good morning, Dominic.
How's it going?
Wonderful. How are you today?
Good, good, good. Happy 4th. And some of our listeners are probably doing their banking with banks from outside Buffalo. What are the benefits of banking with a locally based, locally operated community bank?
So, as you could imagine, there's a bunch of benefits to that. Firstly, a locally operated bank understands the unique needs of Western New Yorkers. Lakeshore Savings Bank has been serving this region for 134 years, so we really understand the needs of our customers better than anyone. Also, we have the flexibility and expertise to develop quick, customized solutions, and that's because all of our lending decisions are made right here in Western New York and not in some other state at a different headquarters. Lakeshore Savings is committed to the economic health of this region by keeping deposits and loans right here in Western New York. The people that work at Lakeshore Savings are your friends and neighbors. We shop in local stores and help drive the economy.
Okay, well, that sounds all like it makes good sense. And now, of course, folks, is a good time to consider switching to Lakeshore Savings Bank. I know that Cortez Construction benefits from our great relationship with Lakeshore and Christina Schwendler at the Clarence branch, offering us great personalized customer service. The bank's products and services are customized to fit our needs, and they can be fit to yours as well.
That's right. Banking market might be changing right now, but we've been operating right here since 1891. So if you're looking for a bank that has a long-standing presence and reputation in the community, why not take a look at Lakeshore Savings?
Why not is right. Thank you, Leo. Tell people how they can get a hold of you at the Snyder branch.
Absolutely. You guys can give me a call today, 716-898-2101. We're in the branch until noon.
That's 716-898-2101. Talk to Leo right now. Lakeshore Savings Bank, putting people first since 1891. Attention contractors, this is Dominic Cortez here to remind you that Herb Company is your trusted source for top quality contractor installed products. From tankless hot water heaters to energy efficient boilers and radiant heating systems, Herb has what you need to stay ahead of the curve. With building code changes coming next year, costs are likely to rise. So now's the time to lock in savings. Visit herbcompany.com or call one of our knowledgeable sales associates at 825-1400 today. Plan ahead and save with Herb Company, your partner in excellence. Hi, Dominic Cortez here. If your home heats up fast in the summer or your AC is always running, USA Insulation can help. Their premium foam keeps hot air out and cool air in, so your home stays comfortable and energy efficient. Right now, qualifying New York homeowners can get up to 80% of the cost covered with state and federal incentives. They even offer spray foam for businesses. Call 716-431-4500 or go to USAinsulation.com.
USA Insulation.
And tell them Dominic sent you. Summer in Western New York. We wait for it all year and live for every sunny minute. Dominic Cortez here. Make sure your home stays comfortable all season long with a $99 health and safety checkup from TRS Heating and Air Conditioning. Need an upgrade? TRS can recommend a high-efficiency ream system to keep you cool from the heat with flexible financing to fit your budget. Visit TRSHeatingandAirConditioning.com for details. TRS Heating, Air Conditioning, and Electrical Excellence. Powering tomorrow, comforting today.
The benefit of herbs to me is they're everywhere. So when I'm working here and there, so herb is one spot.
Yeah, I know.
That's
David Bellavia
You're
is
right.
moving to a new time. Starting Monday, catch David an hour earlier from 9 to 1 on the Voice of Buffalo, News Radio 930 WBEN.
10:25 is hammer time. Yeah, our day parts are shifting here, folks, so stay tuned for David being on 9 to 1. And Joe Beamer gets his own show now, 1 to 3 every weekday, and then Tom is now 3 to 6. right here on the Voice of Buffalo, News Radio 930, WBEN. Good morning, it's Dominic Cortez and Todd Schmiegel, our plumber at Cortez Construction, taking your plumbing dilemmas and solving them for you. Saves you a service call, right, Todd?
That's right. I want to go back out twice if I don't have to. During the break, usually we get a chance to talk, but you're so busy doing some of the other things. So I figured, what else can we talk about with regards to the sump pumps and the means of getting rid of the water? But a lot of the times, when you always have groundwater under your house. And it's how you get rid of it. And what I want to talk about is how when you're selling a house, and most municipalities around here, they're making you do corrections before you sell the house.
Right.
So they don't want some pump discharge water going into the sanitary sewer. They want the floor drains in your basements capped off. These are the things that you have to account for when, during the sale of a house. As a matter of fact, my daughter just bought a house, and before she could buy the house and cheat the water, the corrections had to be made to take care of the floor drains.
And if you don't have a sump pump, in most cases now, if you sell a house, you have to put one in.
Correct, and it all depends on the town too, and that's what sometimes makes my job hard, is where we're working and what has to be done. But groundwater can no longer go into the sanitary sewer, and it's really for good reason. Most people complain about it, but think about it. The more groundwater that goes into a sanitary sewer, the less the sewers can handle. So when you have a day of a good rainstorm coming through and you're flooding it with clean water, and it has nowhere else to go but back into your house sometimes. So there's means of preventing that with gate valves and check valves and stuff like that. But so keeping the groundwater out of the sanitary sewer is what you really want to do. Now the big exception, Dom,
is the city of Buffalo.
Exactly, which is a combination sewer, which changes the whole story around, and we'll save that for another discussion.
Let's see. The texter's writing, the problem I'm having with my backup water-fed sump pump is the float valve seal always seems to fail, allowing water to trickle feed back to the sump. My solution after several replacements is just keep the supply shut off until I need it. Ooh, that's dangerous.
Exactly. If you're on vacation or you're sleeping really good.
And the power goes out.
Yeah, and the power goes out. So
the power goes out and it's raining.
Yeah. So I would look into either maybe changing in your whole water-powered sump pump.
So let's get into this here. He's saying that the float valve seems to fail. Why would the float valve? Maybe it's sticking?
I guess so. It's not a bad idea to quote-unquote exercise that float valve. Face it, it never turns on.
Yeah.
And, who's really crazy about kneeling down next to their sump pump and lifting that float every now and then to make sure it works? Or even unplugging your sump pump and letting your sump pump fill up naturally or with a hose to make sure that your water-powered sump goes on.
Speaking of that, when we talk about the comparisons between submersible and upright, the idea that a upright pump is relying on a slide for the float to work always gave me cause for concern.
Correct. You get that much more linkage that could get jammed up and whatever. When you have a submersible pump, one, it's in the water all the time, so it keeps it cool. So when you're running it an extended period of time, the motor's going to be happier running where it's cooler. And they're quieter, too, Dom. When you have a submersible. And you're right about the float. Why would you want to take a chance of it hanging up on the side of the pit?
So why would you ever want to go with a third horse upright?
I have no idea. I'd never put one in, and I never will. Back in the day, they were the standard. Everyone used those, and submersibles came out,
Is there any harm to having a larger sump pump than you need?
Yes. It's a good thing you brought that up, because typical basements need a third horsepower sump pump, and that's fine. As soon as you go to something bigger, like a half horsepower, sure, it's going to discharge the water quicker, but what it'll also do is short cycle the pump. So when it's short cycling, it's on and off longer, and that's what really harms any motor.
So short cycling.
Yeah, short cycling is not a good thing. Now, if you have a genuine need for it, then I can understand it, but that's not too often.
Well, how would you define short cycling, though? Is it discharging completely and then filling again and then discharging again?
Pretty much what you said, yeah. So when it's running for that short period of time, because it pumps the water out so fast, and then it shuts off, and then so the constant on and off. One, it's annoying in your house if you can hear it. And
right.
Two, it's not good for a motor.
Do they sell third horse submersibles?
Oh yeah, that's what I put in daily. Either Liberty pumps, Zoller pumps.
I always thought that submersible started at half, but
no. That's the standard for me is a third horsepower
submersible.
Correct.
Yeah. So there you go, folks. I hope you learned a lesson there about if you're replacing your sump pump. Definitely do not. When would an upright ever be? Maybe the size of the pit? The pit?
Well, not even then, because the base of a stand-up pump is similar to a submersible anyway, so I really can't see any advantages to them.
Yeah, I don't either.
No.
Anyway, 803-0930 is the number to call or text, same as our call-in number, 716-803-0930. Talking plumbing today with Todd Schmiegel. Participate in the program and give us a call. It's time for the bottom of the hour's news break. Okay.
Multiple people missing
guys
after heavy rain
still
caused
think we're
flash
busy?
flooding in
I
Kerr
mean,
County,
still think
Texas
we're
on
busy?
Friday.
You
Governor
catch up on
Greg
the report?
Abbott
It's
said
funny about that.
have been swept up.
The number of
Into
calls has dropped,
An
but
extraordinary
the size of jobs has
catastrophe.
increased. So
It
our
needs
sales
God,
are actually
but it
better
also
than last
needs
year, but
a
less calls.
robust
Okay.
response.
Well, that's
President
good
Trump
for
meantime
your
at the White House
department,
Friday
right?
signing a
Because
major
there's no
tax
lost
and
leads there.
spending bill.
Yeah,
golden
but that's
age
a
of
lot of money
America is
wasted.
upon
Yeah.
us. We are in the golden
Um,
age. It's going to be a
So I
period
don't
of
know,
time,
you know, I
the
don't
likes
quite
of which
what to
I don't
think of
think
it.
this
I
country
think
has
that,
ever experienced before. We're going
if
to
we
make America
keep the
great
sales
again,
volume
and
up,
it's
that's good
happening
because then
very
we keep
fast.
everybody
Democrats,
busy.
however, say that bill could
And who
gut
cares if the
Medicaid.
jobs are
Tropical
bigger?
Depression 3,
Right?
now Tropical Storm Chantal. America's listening to Fox News.
What I really want to give a thumbs up to is Dave Wheeler.
Yeah, he's doing a great job.
He came from the field.
It's
and when they found
10:31, 81
and I
degrees, mostly
understand,
cloudy
but
in Buffalo. From
promoted,
the
and
WBEN Paul
he's
Davis
making these jobs
Restoration
happen.
Newsroom,
Yeah.
He's
I'm
calling
Chris
me like, oh, I need to trim this
Jacobello.
job.
Here's
Like,
what's
we just did
happening.
this.
Yeah.
If you plan to
I've
be in
been
the
happy with
waters this
him.
holiday weekend, expect an increase in boating
Jason's
patrol.
leaving us.
Coast Guard and local law enforcement
Our
crews
cost
across the Great
controller.
Lakes are joining together for
Yeah.
Operation
Yeah, well, he does-
Dry
he
Water.
pays you.
This
Well, that's
nationwide
what I mean.
initiative
Yeah.
focuses
Yeah.
on enforcing laws against BUI,
We
otherwise
had a
known
hard
as
time finding a
boating under the
replacement.
influence.
We hired this young
Fillmore
kid.
District Common Council
So we
member
went
Mitch
away from
Nowakowski
experience.
is urging
We went
Buffalo
towards
City
a young
Department
kid
to
who's got a
develop
good
a long-term
attitude.
plan
We'll see if
for
that
the
works.
Erie Basin Marina.
Yeah, train him on
Nowakowski
everything.
stated that the
He's got a
area
degree
has
from
Templeton
Jesus in
Landing,
finance.
but is only used for private
But he
bookings,
never worked
and
as
that the
an
marina
accountant.
also needs investing.
So-
The Buffalo Urban
Yeah,
Renewal
that's probably
Agency
good,
controls the
yeah.
lease
It-
for
it-
Templeton Landing, and the leases for
It's
the marina
most-
site
most-
is
it's been the
controlled by
most
the
difficult
Department of
position to
Public
fill.
Works.
No, I'm
Tickets
thinking
are now
hiring
on
and
sale
firing
for
job.
Oh,
Upper
it's
Deck
just
Golf at
awful.
Highmark
Yeah.
Stadium. This 3-day event begins July 25th, and organizers are saying that tee time is limited. They also expect it to be sold out, as this will be the last Upper Deck Golf event at Highmark before the Bills move across the street to their new stadium.
We went to
The
that
Just
last
Call
year.
Jet
It was
First
a
Alert
complete rip-off.
forecast. Currently,
$100.
82 degrees,
That
mostly
Upper Deck,
cloudy outside our
where you play
Amherst
golf in
studio.
Highmark.
I'm Chris
Oh, okay.
Jacobello,
Hit a
and
ball.
the
Yeah, they
WBEN
had
Paul
created
Davis
landings
Restoration
all around
Newsroom
the
is the
stadium.
news
Yeah.
feed that never
And you hit
stops.
the ball to
Stay
the
in the
field.
know and
Yeah.
follow our
Nine-
updated X feed for the
nine
latest
times.
by following
$100.
at WBEN.
I'm part of RWB running group. You ever hear of those?
The Odyssey app. That's
National.
AUD.
Anyway, they volunteer for a lot of things. And I know last year they volunteered for that.
WBEN and
So
listen
I'm like,
Okay.
to any of our content on demand, wherever you are.
This is an
This
interesting group
is
of
Hammer
people that
Time
volunteer.
Radio.
The marathons
Brought to you
and
by
all
Okay.
Lakeshore Savings Bank, putting people first since 1891.
It's time for us to talk to our good friend Peter Gordon from Indoor Air Professionals. Peter, it's hard to believe it's 4th of July already. Where's happening to the summer? It's whizzing by. I guess we lost part of it with May being a complete loss. But now the heat of the summer is kicking in and it's hot and sticky and your AC is great, right? Well, not always. Many people actually get sick. Headaches, allergy symptoms with their AC. And is it the air conditioning that's making you sick? Well, it's most likely the air you're breathing. The same dust mites, dead skin cells, decaying animal remains, dust mite feces, all that collects in your ductwork. And then add moisture from the AC, and that is a ripe recipe. Some people think it's the cool air itself. However, it is that disgusting mess that I just mentioned that's clinging to your ductwork, and then the unhealthy gunk with the moisture created from your air conditioning, and that is the perfect formula for mold, biofilm, as the industry calls it. Now, there's been some great reviews for Indoor Professionals. Here's a recent 5-star Google review, hot off the presses. Valerie, she writes on how she got off using her albuterol after her duct cleaning for her asthma. Folks, don't delay any further like Valerie did before she literally got her ducts clean and saves money now on less medicine. so that many indoor air professional customers get an immediate return on their investment, cut down on their doctor visits and their medication, which are usually good for you anyways. Peter Gordon joins us on the live line. Good morning, Mr. Gordon.
Good morning. You know, you bring up a good point. Every Saturday I get calls from people, and they said, I've heard this ad and blah, blah, blah. And I can't believe I didn't call before, and it's like they finally break down and they put two and two together that, hey, if I clean this gunk up, then I'm going to be healthier, whether it's minor sinus allergies or we have so many patients that have a compromised immune system that are battling cancer and all that stuff. So, yeah, it really makes a big difference. And so let's not forget about the medical-grade air purifiers. You might not even have ductwork, but
That's right.
so you have split systems or window rattlers or no air conditioning, and we have these amazing medical-grade air purifiers that are 40 times more efficient than HEPA-filtered units.
Absolutely amazing piece of equipment. Sits in the bedroom, does its job, cleans the air, provides a little white noise. And what about, Peter, the awesomeness of the April Air high-capacity DHU that's guaranteed to be 5 times more powerful than the disposable Chinese fire starters? And when we talk about humidity in the basement, it's so important to have a dry basement in the heat of the summer. Isn't that true?
Yeah, it's just, I hate to use the expression, but they've been flying off the shelf due to the, what you mentioned in May. It just rained and rained and rained. So,
Yep.
yeah, they're...
So celebrating the 4th of July as we are, let's kick up the notch on the discounts for our listeners.
Okay, yeah, this is going to give you a really good incentive to call. I don't know if this will be here next week. We'll see. But right now on duct cleaning, if you're a first-timer or a repeat, you can save $200 off.
Wow.
And then just double that number, and you can save $400 off the April Air high-capacity dehumidifier that we just mentioned, and $400 off the portable medical-grade air purifier that covers 1,200 square feet. And you just call me for an estimate. It'll only take 5 minutes out of your busy schedule.
And here's the number to speak directly to Peter, 716-683-3000, extension 303. Extension 303 drops you right into Peter's lap. Give him a call right now. Indoor Air Professionals. Got IAP? Get it today.
Breathe easier with Indoor Air Professionals. For every breath you take.
Hi, it's Susan Rose. If a kitchen or bath remodel is on your mind, now's the time to act. Kitchen and Bath Unlimited is offering Kemper
Okay,
Echo
we have an
cabinets
issue
with
with
all
our
wood
sump
box
pump
construction, plus an extra 20% off.
That drains
saving you
into
up
a
to
buried
30%
drain
in
pipe.
total
Seems
value.
the yard is
Their designers
shifting
are
as
amazing.
if one
I
of
worked with
them
them nearly
had
20
collapsed.
years ago, and my cabinets are still in
That
excellent
happened to me.
condition. Visit Kitchen and Bath Unlimited
That happened to
showroom on
me.
Union near
He
Walden and
nicked
Chitawamba.
drain tile line when he was
Online
putting
at
in the outdoor
kitchenandbathunlimited.net.
kitchen. And it took
Ready to
3 or
transform
4
your
years
outdoor haven? When it comes to
for it to
crafting
get
the perfect
clogged.
outdoor oasis,
Well, it
think
happens a lot
True
too. You
North
do
Decking
construction.
from Lenco
They
Supply.
strap out that little pipe to the side of the house and they backfill and
Dominic
they put it
Ortiz
on
here.
backfill, right?
True
Put too
North
much dirt on
Decking
top
offers
and
the
collapses
best
it.
in both
Today it's
PVC
fine.
and
Year from
composite
now,
deck
it's
products,
far
giving you
break.
the look of real wood without all the maintenance. And for a limited time,
So
get
this
free
would be a
delivery on
waterproofing
orders
guy.
over $500.
I mean, a
For
water
more
drain
info
tile
on
guy.
True
Yeah,
North Decking, go to
it's funny how I'm doing something for your job. I'll put some, not drain tile, but conductor lines.
Conductor lines, yeah.
For the
But those need to
addition.
be permitted.
Oh, sure, yeah. That's
Why
my
is the
bread and
Gorilla
butter
Floor
with,
the best resinous floor coating on the market? Simple. We're the only company bold enough to guarantee protection against the number one cause of garage floor failure, moisture. Every Gorilla Floor includes a vapor barrier
I know
and
what that
no
means.
extra cost. No shortcut when it comes to long-term protection. Protect your garage with a Gorilla
That's
Floor
a mess.
and say
That
goodbye
kind
to
of.
peeling
I
and
mean,
failure.
my whole yard had to
For
be
Hammer
dug
Time
up.
listeners,
Really?
take
Yeah.
10% off
Repair
any
whatever
garage floor
damage it.
installation 400 square feet or more. Just in
What was
time
the
for
reason?
summer.
Starting Monday, Tom Bowerly moves to a new time. Listen to
They had to
Tom
do the
3
whole
to 6
line all
weekdays on
across
the
the whole
Voice of
property.
Buffalo. News Radio 930 WBEN.
10:40 is Hammer Time. Good morning, it's Dominic, and how are you? Happy 4th of July, 803-0930. Todd Schmiegel in studio, our plumber at Cortez Construction, taking your plumbing questions, anything that relates to plumbing or anything around the house that might need my attention, certainly the same as our call-in number, 803-0930, or our text number, 803-0930, or outside Buffalo, 1-800-616-WBEN. The texter's writing, we're having an issue with our sump pump that drains into a buried line. Seems the yard is shifting as one of them may have collapsed. Who can we have called to have the buried PVC lines inspected? The gutters are also connected to the buried pipes. They discharge onto the bank in the backyard. I don't know what that means, but yeah, that's a nightmare. And maybe a camera inspection might be in order.
That's what I was going to recommend, Dominic, because it could be in various different spots, and you don't want to needless dig up your whole backyard to find where it is. So if you have a camera down there, it could tell you the distance away and what the problem is. I have seen that quite a few times, new house construction, where they're putting the foundation in and everything's great, and then they strap the 4-inch green pipe to the side of the building using metal band, which is totally fine, as long as the contractor that's backfilling the hole later doesn't decide to drop a huge load of dirt on top of that and
pull it off
and break the bands.
Yeah.
Sometimes you won't recognize it for maybe a week, a month, a year later, and that's when you have the problem.
Now, one misconception I think that a lot of people are not aware of with drain tile conductor lines is those need to be permitted and inspected as just like plumbing lines in the house.
Absolutely, and there's good reason for that. You want to make sure you're using the right pipe and the right fittings. I have seen way too many times where perforated pipe, where there's holes in it, have been used to take water away from a downspout to the street. So perforated pipe is meant to absorb water in your yard and then take it to a solid pipe, which then takes it away to your street or to another.
On that point, though, Todd, would you not consider perhaps the idea of a perforated line being an effective way to create a French drain?
If you're trying to dissipate the water,
right?
You're trying to get rid of the water,
right? Okay.
And if you have a big backyard or a field or something that you can get rid of that water, that'll be fine that way.
Let's go to Wheatfield and talk to Mike. Good morning, Mike. You're on WEN with Todd Schmiegel.
Good morning. About my shower drain now, is that standard practice? They don't have a funnel go into the shower drain. What's happening, the pipe comes up, there's about 3/4 inch space around it. So the soap scum gets around that thing. So every 3 or 4 months I have to take the screen off and use a rag or paper towel and clean out that gunk or the water won't go down. Not as fast.
So you're having a little standing water by the edge of the drain? Is
right.
It? Okay.
It goes up and around the outside.
Yeah, I can picture it. So you probably have a brass shower drain that's used to install when you can't have access from the bottom. So it must be like a second floor shower, I'm assuming?
So that's standard practice, do it that way?
Correct, yeah. Now that pipe can be trimmed down a little bit. The pipe's just sitting a little too high. It can be trimmed down where the water then can, naturally flow out.
Of course, the other question is, isn't that like a trap though? Would that plug up the rest of the sewer?
The soap scum you're saying, or something else? It's meant to go down there sooner or later, so as long as you have a good pitch and the right size pipe, you'll be fine.
Shower drains typically don't have traps though, right?
Oh, no, shower drains?
Do they?
Oh, sure, yeah, every fixture has to have a trap.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does that help you, Mike?
Yeah, I have another question about the base pump now. When you pump, because I, exercise it, and it goes for about, maybe 10 seconds, not 10 seconds, about a minute or so. But if that gets below so it sucks in air, would that stop it from working the next time, or would that air bubble just go through?
No. Okay, for the callers who are not familiar, a base pump is a water-powered sump pump, but that pump is actually mounted on the floor joists above the sump pump pit, and it drops a pipe into the sump pump pit as a siphon tube. So if you do siphon it or you do draw some air in there, it's not going to harm the next operation of it. And good thing that you are trying to manually operate it from time to time is a good idea.
Yeah, because I understand that it depends on your water pressure and the size of your pipes. My water pipes are 1/2 inch, which is standard, But if it was 3/4 inch, it would be more.
Correct. That's another thing I should have brought up before is that you need a full 3/4 inch line
Yeah.
to power those properly.
Yeah.
And the shorter the distance, the better too from your water.
They get complicated to install for that reason alone.
Yeah, and here's another good idea. Anytime I put a water-powered sump pump in, I always put an additional valve in. You're going to ask for what? I'd like to think that the water-powered sump pump should stay on all the time, but if you leave on vacation, it's a great idea to turn your water off in your house. You never know something's going to happen while you're gone. So if you have a separate valve to turn the water off for your house, but leave the water on for your water-powered sump pump, is a great way of doing it.
See, I don't know if I agree with turning the water off to the house.
Well, the chart says my 1/2 inch pipe will pump like 700 gallons per minute.
Not per minute, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, that's pretty low
Yeah.
in terms of keeping up the sump
I don't have a real
flow.
high water problem as far as maybe that would be
Yeah.
satisfactory for my household. But I remember coming home from work and always afraid that when the power's off, you're going to find the flood in the basement.
Yeah, well, a water siphon is there for that reason. So,
Okay, then,
thanks,
you.
Mike. Thanks for the call. Question for Todd. Do split AC systems work well for an entire upper floor, or is it better to duct in AC, the cost difference? Judy from Hamburg is writing.
All right. Let me do some.
So the idea of a mini split for a whole floor as compared to ducting the AC off of the existing system.
Well, Judy from Hamburg, I will say that you probably have enough BTUs to do an entire floor.
Yeah.
But you have individual rooms where it's hard to get the air into all the rooms. So it's not probably the best choice unless you have multiple inside heads, they call them, to run off the split AC system.
Right. So a split, you can do multiple heads off a split.
Correct.
The problem with that is I would compare the cost of that installation
to traditional ductwork.
To ducting it, like I had to do, as you know, up through the attic, and maybe another whole system, independent air handling system, just for the second floor.
Yeah, it makes it costly to install sometimes. Sometimes you don't have a generous space in the attic. You do.
Frankly, I regret. Well, I didn't have a choice, because as you know, with radiant heat, the only way I could AC the house would be through the attic with the air handler there. But it leads to so many concerns. We had a problem with leakage, as you remember, when the condensate drain failed or the line was plugged. So we had ceiling damage as a result of that, and then the bigger, another issue, not a bigger issue, that was a pretty big issue, is the fact that the unit, even though everything is insulated, still loses heat.
Correct.
In that, the ductwork is piped through and connected to the ceilings. I close all those registers, but I'm still getting heat loss through those lines, to the extent that I had immense ice formation for the last few years. I've combated that by turning the fan on that vents the attic. Obviously, you'd think that's typically a summertime advantage to have that fan run, but I now have to run it in the winter to keep the heat vented out.
Yeah. Here's a thought, too. I did a lot of those systems over the years, and what I've learned to do, not necessarily for heat loss, but you have a possibility of building condensate up inside the ductwork because you have that relatively hot air from your room entering the ductwork, and it's relatively cold in your attic, and you condensate in there. To combat that, what I do or did is I would put a separate timer on to run the fan on the unit. So usually during the middle of the night, so you don't have to hear the fan run, but it would dry the air ducts out that way.
Oh.
So it run for an hour or two, and I
just through the winter.
Yeah, and I would set it on the lowest speed, so you had airflow, but not consuming energy.
Well, that's a good idea.
Yeah, worked well.
Yeah. 803-0930, a texter's writing, do you offer camera inspections? You don't do that.
No, I don't. I don't do that. I recommend
You need to go to a plumber that does a lot of sewer line work, maybe?
Correct, yeah.
Or maybe a drain tile contractor that also does conductor lines and inspections in that regard. Okay, our next break is right now, but don't go away. We're back with more with Todd Schmiegel right after this.
Wondering where to shop for home improvements? Well, you've come to the right place. Our sponsors
In
have
summer, should
Hammer
you put a
Time seal of
freestanding
approval
rotating
by
fan
operating with honesty and integrity. So remember, to buy
flowing
right
down?
the first time, buy from a Hammer Time partner.
What? In summer, should you put a freestanding rotating fan upstairs flowing down or downstairs flowing up? Oh.
To try and draw the cold air that's always naturally falling up to the second floor.
Yeah, so probably you open the windows downstairs and have it flow up.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay, not for air conditioning. I'm thinking that they're trying to get the air conditioning work in the house, and the second floor sometimes is a harder time. Do you keep all your bedroom doors closed in the
Hi,
summertime?
Dominic Ortiz. Whenever someone asks me, who do you call
And
for
where's
roof
your
repair
return
or
air for
replacement,
yours?
I say
Is it
Card
all
Paper
the big one
Roofing
in
and
the middle
Siding.
of the
They
foyer.
install over
Okay.
And then there's
1.5
one,
million square feet of shingles and siding
one in
annually
Phil's
across Western
room.
New York. When you call Ava, you get superior
And there's
service,
one in our room.
including expert foreman on every job.
That's
Get
it.
an
There's
on-the-spot free written estimate and project
Right,
drawing
okay.
for your
And
roof
that's
replacement
fine,
or
but
repair
if you had
by
each room,
calling
then you'd keep the doors
343
closed
Roof
and not
or
have
go to
to worry about that cold air
avaroofing.com.
falling down.
Ava also
But
offers
the downstairs
0%
air conditioning,
financing when
Yeah,
quality
yeah.
matters.
Okay,
Call
so the
Ava
whole
Roofing.
thing's mixed together. That's fine.
They found, the only thing the guy did right who put the system
Hi,
initially is
Dominic
find
Ortiz here.
paths.
If your home heats up fast
drop
in the
from the
summer
second
or
floor
your
down to the
AC is
first
always
floor.
running,
Okay.
So we
US
have,
Insulation can
in the
help. Their
kitchen, we've
premium
got a
foam
line
keeps
there.
hot air out
We got a
and
line in
cool
the
air
family
in,
room.
so your home stays comfortable
And then in the
and energy efficient.
living room,
Right
and
now,
that it's
qualified
two-story,
New York
there's two
homeowners
big
can get up to
lines
80%
there.
of the cost covered with
And-
state and federal incentives. They
and
even
that,
offer spray
believe-
foam for
believe it or
businesses.
not,
Call 716-431-4500
does the whole house.
or go to usainsulation.com.
I've been amazed at how comfortable the
And tell
house
them Dominic
is
sent you.
in how many years that we lived without air conditioning.
Read the news online at WBEN.com.
10:51 is Hammer Time. Good morning, it's Dominic Ortiz. This is Hammer Time Radio on WBEN. Here till noon, taking your home improvement dilemmas and solving them for you at 803-0930. Todd Schmiegel, our plumber at Cortez Construction, is in studio with me, taking your plumbing questions as well. Anything that you have plumbing related, Todd's the expert. Give us a call or text us, 803-0930. In the summer, a texter's writing, should I put a freestanding rotating fan upstairs flowing down or downstairs flowing up to control cool air? I think we want to induce air, so inducing air from the cooler side of the house. So picture by sun direction, okay? Let's say your house faces west. On the east side of your house, I would open in the evening those windows, and I'm assuming obviously that you don't have air conditioning. But if you open the windows on the cooler side of the house to draw cool air in, and then let that air be flow upstairs, will actually help rotate air and cycle it through and keep the second floor, I think, a little cooler. Obviously, I mentioned already, a whole house fan in the attic is a great way to draw air into the house. What you could do is prop open, if you have one, a hatchway. A great way to create a chimney effect in your house. Prop open your attic hatchway. I have a pull-down staircase, so I can prop that down, and then actually then draw air through the house. Very effective way to create a chimney as a chimney effect in the house. Cycling air through your house is a good idea, even in the air conditioning season. Keeping your attic as cool as possible in the attic with a fan will help reduce the load on the AC, and keeping the load down on the AC is a big plus, because it's going to make the house feel more comfortable. In spite of the fact that it's still operating, it's going to be less taxing on the system if it's operating in a cooler environment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Don.
803-0930, if you'd like to participate in that discussion or anything else as we talk about plumbing. Air conditioning, we had the TRS folks on, and I know you don't do air conditioning condenser work, but they're kind of fretting over the availability of the gases they need to charge the system, because the laws have changed now on the gases that they're allowed to use.
I do some air conditioning every now and then, but I let other guys do it. I'm happy just doing the plumbing. But regardless of that, I do know that the two new refrigerants that came out, and I actually forgot the numbers. I think one is 32 and the other is 454, something like that. But anyway, the 32 is being used in split systems, and that's available. That's not a problem. What is the problem is when you have a traditional furnace and air conditioning unit, that 454 gas is not available. The equipment is, but you can't get the gas.
Right.
And if you do, you're paying a lot of money for it.
It seems that everything happens that way. You know, a policy change gets put into effect, and then the availability of things and pieces and parts to make it happen are not available.
We can hover on that question for a little bit with regards to the gas. You know that's a flammable gas now?
Yes, I've heard that.
So when you're putting it on a traditional system, you have to retrofit your furnace with a safety device in case there's a leak on the refrigerant, and in the wintertime that gas would settle down into your furnace where there's an open flame. So it has to be able to shut the furnace down.
Now, how did that come to be that they made it flammable?
I don't know. I have no idea why they chose to do that.
Let's go to East Aurora and chat with Brian. Good morning, Brian. You're on WBEN.
Yeah, quick question. So I have central air, and I keep it at 76, so not that cool. If I turn that down, so I don't really get air conditioning upstairs. I mean, the downstairs is perfect. Will I ever get air upstairs if I were to put that down to 68 or something? Or should I not even bother?
Do you have ductwork up there?
Correct.
Yeah. How old is your house, Brian?
It's got to be 80 plus years.
Okay, yeah. So the second floor of houses years ago, the ductwork was sized for heating because air conditioning either wasn't available or just not a common thing to install. So the ductwork is relatively small, and the whole thing with air conditioning is to make sure you have enough airflow. If you don't have enough airflow to remove the heat and the humidity, you're going to have a problem. So, and not to mention, cold air wants to fall and be happy on the first floor, not stay on the second floor. If you have individual returns upstairs in those bedrooms, you can try keeping the doors closed so that whatever air is going up there is then pulled back to the return. That might help a little bit, but it's harder to cool a second floor of a house just for that reason. Zoning could be a possibility too for you, depending on your system, where you could zone it in the basement if you could find the ductwork that goes upstairs to shut off the first floor and shove all the air to the second floor.
Where are the cold air returns on the second floor, Brian?
So they're in every room. So one room, there's 3 bedrooms up there. One room actually gets some, you can feel it in that room a lot more. The other 2 are just, you can't really.
You know, another thing that might be helpful to you, Brian, is playing with the dampering. Maybe you're overflowing downstairs and underflowing second floor.
Yeah. I'll look into that. And one more quick question. My water line, I got something from the village saying it's unknown whether it's lead or galvanized. How would I go about finding out what that is?
Well, the only part of the water line you can see coming from the street is a short piece coming into your basement wall or floor. If it's an 80-year-old building, it could be lead. I've never seen lead in the outskirts. Lead in the city was a big thing. It's probably galvanized coming through the floor. But even if you see galvanized coming into your building, into your house, it doesn't mean that from the water box out to the main could be lead as well. And there's no way of.
How about having the water tested?
I can't answer that. I don't know that.
I think you could probably have the water tested, Brian. Maybe that'd be the way to find out.
Yeah, I was curious because they just sent us a letter and saying, since it's an unknown material, take these.
I would call the Erie County Health Department and ask them that question.
Okay.
And one other tip with that, too, I know there's a program with regards to lead water lines in the city of Buffalo that they're offering a very good incentive, if not nothing, to install new ones. I don't know how it works in the outskirts, so we'll find that out, too.
Yeah, the county could help you with that.
All right, thanks, guys.
Okay, Brian, good questions. Let's move to Hamburg and chat with Dan. Good morning, Dan. You're next.
Yeah, I got a 1.8 gallons per minute faucet aerator in the upstairs vanity, the sink upstairs, but I don't get enough water coming out of it. Do they make any bigger than a 1.8 gallons per minute?
Yeah, I didn't even think it was that high, but regardless, I would take the aerator off and try cleaning it. You believe how much, even if you have copper or PEX water lines in your house, you wouldn't believe how much, crap and get involved in those things. So take it apart and clean it and put it back together again. And just a little hint, don't lose the washer, because you take those things off and you turn the water on and it blows the washer out.
That might be all that's wrong, is simply the aerator may be encumbered by
But it was a new aerator, though. That aerator is not but 2 months old.
Okay, well, then it's probably not plugged up. I certainly can't say this on the air, but you can sort of rig those things to get rid of the low flow on them. But
how do you do that?
Oh, I can't give that secret away. Now,
you opened a can of worms now.
Exactly. I mean, they're meant, they make those aerators so you really can't fool them, but if you play around with them long enough, you can probably take out the device that slows down the water.
Okay, now we got to tell everybody how to do that, Todd.
We'll save that for another show.
Hey, do you want to stay for the next hour?
I'd be happy to.
Okay, great. We'll continue the discussion with Todd Schmiegel from our plumber at Cortez Construction by giving us a call, 803-0930, as we wind our way to the 11 o'clock hour and get ready for our second. Outside Buffalo, you can call us toll-free at 1-800-616-WBEN. And don't forget the Volkswagen of Orchard Park text board. Same as our call-in number, 716-803-0930. Hour number 2 of Hammer Time Radio comes your way right after the news.
WBEN Buffalo.
So when do you leave for Paris?
Probably go in November.
Always live on the free Honest
Yeah,
News.
it's happening more. So that's okay. It's not that kind of trip.
No, I get to that. I'm just,
Girls who went missing from a summer camp in
I've
Central
never been to
Texas
Europe.
following
My
disruptive
former
flooding.
partner,
Fox
yes,
Weather's Bain Frony
wanted to
in
go with them
Kerrville,
over Spain.
Texas.
It
Search and
still would
rescue
take
effort
me
has
if I
been
said
going
yeah,
on
I'll
for
live there.
over 24 hours now.
He's from Germany,
This
right?
floodwater
He
completely ripping
travels
holes off of their foundation.
constantly.
We've already
How's
seen
he
about
doing?
24
Good. Busier
confirmed
than hell.
dead so far from this
Yeah,
flooding
they found
incident.
that they have a
Over
lot of
2
work
dozen
downstate.
still
they've
missing.
got,
Among those that are missing are those
there's
little
still
girls that
federal
were
money
at
for that,
all-girls
right?
Until the
camp
end
that
of
was
the
along the
year,
Guadalupe
but I don't
River.
know how the state's
And
Trump
those
taking that
efforts
away?
are still continuing. They were
Oh,
continuing
yeah.
overnight.
Yeah, it is.
And
But
as
the
we
New
start
York
the
State's
next few
still
hours,
doing something
family,
they're
parents, the community just
I don't
praying
think I can
for
speak
any
correctly on it, but
information
they're
about
trying
their
to
loved ones.
lower the
Now,
carbon
the governor of
footprint
Texas
in
did
Manhattan and
issue
New York
a
City in
disaster
general. So
declaration
there,
for
they're
15
doing
counties.
huge work. I
This is a
stopped on their
tropical
jobs
storm is now formed
you know,
off the coast of the
multi-million-dollar
Carolinas.
jobs.
Fox Weather's Mike Seidel in Folly Beach, South Carolina.
So what are they? How are they
So it's a minimal,
facilitating them in
tropical storm.
Manhattan? Are
The
they-
number one
Oh, it's
impact by
tricky.
far
You know,
will be
the
the
air
awfully heavy
jobs and
rain,
what they gotta do. The
especially
job I was
along
on, there
and
was
where
sort of
the center
generous
comes
rule,
on
maybe like an
shore
area this big
sometime late
to
tonight,
drill,
but more than
which
likely
doesn't seem like a
sometime
lot, but
Sunday
it was
morning.
enough. But I
Maybe
don't know how
before
they can do other
sunrise,
jobs.
maybe just after
It's all
sunrise.
rock
It's a broad
in
center
Manhattan.
this
But that's
morning.
fine.
It's moving
Rock is
north and
beautiful.
two, but it's
Rock is
expected to
beautiful.
move more north and
But you're
northeast
dealing
and
with
pick up
unions
some
and
forward
laborers
speed.
and,
This is
you
not
know,
going to
you
rapidly
can't do
intensify
this,
for the
but I
next
can
day or
do
two
it.
between
And
sheer
when I
and
was
dry
doing these
air.
jobs, it's sort
We
of
don't
ridiculous.
expect
But
it to
he's
become
making
any
it work.
more than a tropical
There's not a
storm.
problem.
The official
Nothing's a problem
forecast
with the guy.
Yeah,
is
he's a
for
problem
it to
solver.
increase to
Exactly.
45
And he
miles an
likes
hour.
problems.
The storm named
Yeah,
Sean
I like that
Dow
in
is the
him,
third
but
named storm of
He
the
loves the
2025
challenge.
hurricane
It
season.
rubbed off
Expected
on me
to
a little
travel
bit, too.
along the
You know,
South
his thing,
Carolina
you know, he's a
coast and fade
motherfucker,
out
right?
shortly
Okay.
after
So his
reaching
famous line
North
is, no matter how
Carolina.
bad a geojob
President Trump
went
telling
south, he'd
reporters
always
Friday
say,
he's
at
very
least the
optimistic,
baby
quote
died.
unquote, that a ceasefire deal in
And
Gaza
I still
could
use that
begin
line-
this week.
mindset
Israeli
now.
Prime
Like,
Minister
yeah,
Benjamin
that's
Netanyahu
pretty messed up, but
visited
he can
the
fix
White
that.
House. Coming up, America's listening.
I love that. We should have him on again.
Good morning. It's
Yeah,
11:02,
he probably
80
isn't looking
degrees,
for
partly
work.
cloudy in Buffalo.
Oh, no.
From
But
the
he's
WBEN Paul Davis Restoration
Yeah,
Newsroom,
last time he was on,
I'm Chris
you know,
Giacobello.
we leave
Our
together,
top
he goes, oh, drive me
stories,
to the
a
airport.
historical
Oh, I go
reenactment,
to Germany.
and staying safe
Like, when's
this
your flight?
holiday
45
weekend.
minutes. What? You know.
Forecast calls for
Like,
lots
whatever,
of
okay,
weather for
drive
the
me to the
rest of the
airport.
holiday weekend.
Here's what's happening.
Where in Germany did he
This weekend, Old Fort Niagara is
I'm sure
recreating
you
one of
told
the
me
largest
it's all blended
reenactments
together,
of the
'cause
French and Indian
I
War
can't
that took
relate to
place
it.
back in
You have any regret in getting
1759.
out of that?
This reenactment includes 6
For the
immersive battles that
technology,
took
yes.
place
I
over
love
3
that. I
days.
love the
It's said that
challenge.
each reenactment
But
is
as far as
different,
running
and there
the
are no
company, I
repeated
did not have the
scripts.
strength and
Admission is
knowledge.
$22 for adults
CEO is
and
fantastic.
$14 for
Helped me get
children.
where I was. I loved
People
every
should be
minute of it.
careful on the roads
Maybe
as
if you were my
statistically
mentor,
DUI
it
arrests
would've
occur
been better.
more often during this holiday weekend. New York State Police Trooper James O'Callahan stated,
So he didn't obviously resonate
No,
well
it
with
was a print shop out of NT off the Colvin Extension. I don't think
Really?
And my accountant was a reactor, which my accountant was Dan Tyrone.
Oh, yeah.
He's a reactor, and I forget what the reactor was. But because I don't regret it, because I'm more of a person that wants to be on my own. You know, why don't I even have employees now? Because I just can't take.
Well, there's a
Buffalo
piece
Pro
of mind
Soccer
that
is passing
people
back to
enjoy.
the stadium's site selection
It'd be
process,
nice to have
as they
someone
will not play
help me,
at
but
the planned stadium
keep
at
me
Lead
active,
Elk
too.
Street in South Buffalo.
Well, you know
the
what?
lease for the planned
It's a
stadium
balance.
was
You
terminated
you know,
due to
you've
an
got a good
inability
balance
to work
going,
through
where you-
disputes with PBS
especially
vehicles
since we can
operating
keep you
nearby.
busy, you don't have to look
The
for
site
work.
has been known to have concerns over the years due to PBS's
the dog and
presence.
pony show with
This also
furnace is
means
this
that
and
their
this furnace.
USL debut has been pushed back to 2027.
characteristic.
WBEN News Time 11:03. The Just
Well,
Call
I'm
Jet
blessed.
First
I'm Like, I
forecast
wake up
coming up.
early, you know, with the family I have.
Helping your inner circle
the
prepare
abilities
for
of what I can
emergencies
do
can
and,
start in many ways. Put together an emergency
What else
kit
do you
with
want this for?
Whitehall.
What do you
Create a
got the
family
kids, you got
communication
kids.
plan
What
with
else do you
detail.
want?
A reality check,
Rely
yeah.
by to keep a backup battery
People cry
charged.
about the simplest
It
things.
all
and that's
starts
not
with a
me.
simple step. Telling those you
Okay,
care
what can
about
we-
to be ready for the worst. So start a
I think we should,
conversation
on air, not
and
now,
plan
but
for
on air, discuss
emergencies
the whole
together.
turn the water off thing.
Get
when
more
we're gone or
tips
not.
Yeah.
at ready.gov/start.
Let's do good cop, bad cop.
Right.
To you by FEMA and the Ad
We can
Council.
do it now.
Stay tuned.
No, we gotta have the sharpness
Buffalo,
of it.
hosted by Linda Pellegrino. Senior Radio is dedicated to informing and educating.
You better be
baby
more
boomers and
impromptu.
active seniors all over Western New York. Coming up at noon.
The WBEN First Alert forecast, sunny to partly cloudy for
I know.
today. It'll be quite warm with a high
Must
of
have been a
88.
storm.
And then it stays clear, warm and humid with a low of 73 tonight. Windy and hot with plenty of sunshine
Yeah, really.
tomorrow, high right around 90. The humidity is also going to be higher than it is today. Heading into Monday, variable clouds, warm and humid with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm, high 83. With the WBEN First Alert forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
Currently 83 degrees, partly cloudy outside our Amherst studio. I'm Chris Giacobello. The WBEN Paul Davis Restoration Newsroom is a news feed that never stops. Stay
What do you
in the
do with
know
that?
and follow our updated X
Well,
feed for
you
the
can take it
latest
apart
by
and clean the
following
crap out of the drain. There's no
WBEN.
garbage disposal built into the
Right. It's just a catch.
And you see all these persons on TV where they put the dirty dish right in. Like, where's that going?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
That's if we're running out of talk about.
Leaking roof? Need new windows? Looking to remodel your kitchen or bath? You've come to the right place and the right time. Broadcasting on News Radio 930 WBEN since 1989, this is Hammer Time Radio. Now, your host, your man for home improvements, Dominic Cortez.
Brought to you by Lakeshore Savings Bank, putting people first since 1891.
And we're back with hour number 2 of Hammer Time Radio for the 4th of July holiday weekend. I hope you had a great holiday yesterday. And great for the 4th of July to fall on a Friday, right? Because it just made it for a full celebration weekend with the holiday being on a Friday. Fireworks on, Friday and on today, hopefully, maybe again. Anyway, 803-0930 if you'd like to participate in the program. Todd Schmiegel is our guest in studio talking plumbing. And Todd and I disagree on a topic that we touched on earlier that we'll get into now. We've got a little time to talk about it, and that is, should you turn your water off when you leave your house for an extended period of time? I've always felt as though that could lead to problems down the road, Todd, with gaskets, especially in the toilet.
Well, the gasket you're talking about in the toilet's between the tank and the bowl, and the only time that's going to see any activity is when you flush the toilet.
So leaving that water in the tank, you're saying will protect that gasket?
Correct, yeah. My fear with not turning the water off, and I've seen this way too many times, is that one of the weakest links of your water system is your hoses on your washing machine. You install them and you forget about them. The washer's tucked
because those are always under pressure.
Yeah, and I've seen them rusty and corroded where I have to take them apart to put new piping in, and I'm looking at them. And of course, I recommend putting new hoses in. It's the cheapest insurance you're going to buy. So that's one thing that could fail. Another is your outside faucets.
Yes.
If you don't shut the valves off in the basement, and if you don't have a frost-free outside faucet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's a potential, and maybe that won't do too much damage if that breaks, but it certainly lose a lot of water. But it's the worst thing to happen. I've seen this, like I said, several times where something breaks, people are gone, the water's flowing in the house, and you have an insane amount of damage.
That I can appreciate.
That's my thinking.
Yeah. When we talk about water lines, the staple copper kind of losing its place as the number one way to conduct water with the advent of polypropylene. Explain what's your opinion on that, and explain the differences.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, copper is a great means of moving the water around your house, and I like installing it because it looks nice and clean,
right?
And it stays where you put it. PEX doesn't do that, but on the other hand, PEX is clean. PEX, there's no solder, there's no flux, there's nothing else in there. It's easier to install, it's quicker to install. If you you put it in the correct way with the correct materials, you get a full flow of water through without an issue. So it's hard to debate the need for copper anymore. When I retrofit a house with PEX water lines, I'll use copper still from the water meter up to the floor joist in the basement, copper down to the sink in your basement. So once again, it looks nice and it's stable, but the rest of it's PEX. It's hard to argue that.
It's probably ideal for trying to fish from one floor to the next, right? Because you don't have to follow a straight line.
Correct. Yeah, especially if you're trying to retrofit an old house and change the old galvanized lines, and you can fish PEX up really easy. Not really easy. Most of the time, you can do it easy. So that's a great spot for it. All new construction is either PEX or there is CPVC gold plastic pipe. I see some
that still has to be glued, though.
It has to be glued, and it's the same as a copper installation. You still have the same branches with the T's.
Right.
And clips
it's still
like that.
rigid.
Yeah, and it looks good when it's put in. You know, I guess I concern myself more about the looks than most people do, just become a plumber. And there's nothing wrong with that, too. I just prefer the PEX.
Yeah. So the only thing I can say that would be of concern with PEX, and this happened to Phil, my son Phil, as you know, somewhere along the way, his house was 12 years old when this happened, so this just happened last year. When his house was being built, a PEX line got nicked in the process of maybe installing the concrete board when the tile was before the tile was going up, and that nick in the PEX took 12 years to show itself, and when we found the severity of that 12 years of dripping, he had wholesale rotting of studs and floor joists, and his whole exterior had to be peeled off. The whole bathroom had to be gutted as a result of that one nick in the PEX water line.
Yeah, and that water line is actually on one of the body sprays in the shower, so that only seen water when he was using it. So it probably would have happened. Probably would have noticed it quicker if it was on a pressured water line all the time. To prevent that, code calls for when you're putting in PEX water lines. Code calls for you to cover them up with a steel plate when it crosses a floor joist or a stud. So I'm not quite sure how it happened for him, but I think that's the issue where it wasn't covered and it's a nail or screw found that pipe and caused it problems.
How about the cost difference between comparing copper and PEX?
Oh, it's significant.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not sure the exact percentage, but I'd say close to half.
Because of the less labor?
Yeah, labor and
materials.
And the preferred means of joining copper together now is ProPress, a mechanical device that squeezes a fitting onto the copper, which is all well and good. It's fine. It has
so no soldering?
No soldering. But it has its limitations, too. If you're in a close, tight spot, you can't get the tool in to do that. It sometimes can't work, and you're still forced to solder.
But there's some methodology and knowledge involved with crimping the PEX as well.
Yeah, and there's different types of PEX, and that's a good discussion we can have. A and B PEX are your two most basic PEX, and the difference is the internal diameter of the fittings. So APEX is what you have the little squeeze rings.
Right.
I'm sorry, BPEX. BPEX is little squeeze rings, and it works fine. It's been around for a long period of time. However, the internal diameter of those fittings are slower, which reduces volume. So you're trying to fill up your bathtub or whatever, it takes longer. So APEX is an expandable PEX, and the inside fittings diameter is much greater and allows better water flow. Matter of fact, City of Buffalo, you have to upsize your pipe sizing by 1 if you use the old style PEX, because they want to make sure the flow is there. So half turns to 3/4, 3/4 to 1, and so on.
You know, we talk about the evolution of building products, and sometimes we find that things are not better, but in a lot of cases we find things are. You know, and we talk about water lines. Initially, water was traveled through lead.
Oh, yes.
And then it went through galvanized.
Yeah.
And then it went through copper, and now it's going through PEX. I mean, over that transition of time, obviously there's been a step up in the quality of what comes through in terms of the purity of the water and the ease of the installation.
Yeah, we're making the assumption that it's always for the better, and I truly think it is. And the water services that come in your house, like you just said, used to be lead. And then, obviously, we had the issues with lead, and they turned to galvanized. Now, you can bring plastic as a water service into your house. And I don't know the exact name of that particular plastic, but you can use that. But most of the time, you still need to run copper from the house outside. Then it can turn into plastic to the water main. And the reason for the copper is for grounding on the electrical side, because your electricians still use that copper water line as a ground.
Yeah. 803-0930. When we come back, we're going to chat with Todd a little bit about geothermal. He used to be involved with a geothermal company in Buffalo, and we'll learn more about the benefits of that. And, of course, we'll take all of your questions on anything around the house, or specifically if you have a plumbing question. Pick up the phone right now, 716-803-0930. Text number, same as that, 803-0930. Outside Buffalo, 1-800-616-WBEN. I was asked to repeat the upcoming classes at our Come Home to Cortez Cooking School. Again, the next class is Monday, and I think there's a spot or two still open in the Pizza Workshop, July the 7th. It's repeated, so don't worry if you can't get in Monday. July 21st, Pizza Workshop. August 11th, I'm looking forward to this class, Frutte de Mare, gifts from the sea, grilled pesto shrimp, who doesn't like that? Grilled calamari and granita for dessert. That's August 11th. That's an outdoor class. Also in August, we're going to have Summer Antipasto, August 18th, also an outdoor class. Classic caprese salad, prosciutto and melon, bruschetta, and Italian beer on August the 18th, the Summer Antipasto class. So check them all out at Cortez.net, drop-down menu, Come Home to Cortez Cooking School. 803-0930. We're back with more right after this.
Wondering where to shop for home improvements? Well, you've come to the right place. Our sponsors have proudly earned the Hammer Time seal of approval by operating with honesty and integrity. So remember, to buy right the first time,
I knew today was going to be slow with the holiday,
Lakeshore
with the
Savings
weather.
Bank believes in community banking with exceptional customer service and local expertise.
I got my
Lakeshore
Band-Aid.
Savings is here to help you with all your financial needs, from home financing to small business banking. Lakeshore Savings gives you access to local bankers who are dedicated to serving the community.
That's funny. I had
Visit
talked
one
to
of
David
Lakeshore
about this. I
Savings
said, "Do you ever
Bank's
worry
10
with the
Western
phones
New
are
York
quiet?" He
branches.
doesn't know.
Call 716-366-4070 or visit lakeshoresavings.com
I worry about it all the time.
today. Lakeshore Savings Bank. Putting people first since 1891.
Hi, it's Dominic Cortez. Whenever someone asks me, what do you call for roof repair or replacement, I say call Ava Roofing and Siding. They install over 1.5 million square feet of shingles and siding annually across Western New York. When you call Ava, you get superior service, including expert foreman on every job. Get an on-the-spot free written estimate and project drawing for your roof replacement or repair by calling 343-ROOF or go to avaroofing.com. Ava also offers 0% financing. When quality matters, call Ava Roofing.
What's something you need to live but rarely think about? The air you breathe. When it's hot, AC feels great until it doesn't. Headaches, allergies, even illness can be caused by dirty ducts. Dust, pet dander, even mold could be circulating through your home. Moisture plus debris equals biofilm buildup. Call Peter at 716-663-3000, extension 303. Ask about the Hammer Time discount on deep duct cleaning, air purifiers, and dehumidifiers. Breathe better, live better.
Summer in Western New York. We wait for it all year and live for every sunny minute. Dominic Cortez here. Make sure your home stays comfortable all season long with a $99 health and safety checkup from TRS Heating and Air Conditioning. Need an upgrade? TRS can recommend a high-efficiency ream system to keep you cool from the heat with flexible financing to fit your budget. Visit TRSHeatingandAirConditioning.com for details. TRS Heating, Air Conditioning, and Electrical Excellence. Powering tomorrow.
I'll only
Comforting
get in the middle
today.
of something if you want. I'll say nothing.
Hi, this is Dominic Cortez. My family-run business believes in supporting other family-run businesses like Buffalo Plumbing Showroom. With their long tradition of excellence, they offer top-quality plumbing and design solutions. From water-sense fixtures to luxurious steam rooms and the latest cool innovations, you can't trust their expertise to deliver high-quality materials at great prices. Call one of their sales associates at 826-1400 and schedule a visit to the Kohler Registered Showroom located at 600 Bailey Avenue today. Why is the Gorilla Floor the best resinous floor coating on the market? Simple. We're the only company bold enough to guarantee protection against the number one cause of garage floor failure, moisture. Every Gorilla Floor includes a vapor barrier and no extra cost. No shortcut when it comes to long-term protection. Protect your garage with a Gorilla Floor and say goodbye to peeling and failure. And for Hammer Time listeners, take 10% off any garage floor installation 400 square feet or more, just in time for summer.
David Bellavia is moving to a new time.
You're always a plumber.
Starting Monday, catch David an hour earlier from 9 to 1 on the Voice of Buffalo, News Radio 930 WBEN.
11:19 is Hammer Time. Yeah, David goes 9 to 1 starting Monday. Joe Beamer 1 to 3. Tom Barley 3 to 6. New day parts here starting Monday on WBEN. My guest in studio is Todd Schmiegel from Cortez Construction Plumbing. He does all of our plumbing work. And, of course, he has his own company named after his father, Joseph Schmiegel. And for a while, Todd left the plumbing industry. But I could always tell, Todd, that you regretted that, being removed from the plumbing industry. It seemed to be in your blood. Right? And you became a geothermal expert.
Well, thanks for saying expert. I do appreciate that. I had a lot of fun learning the trade and growing the trade with a partner, a friend of mine, Jens Monaco. Him and I decided one day to open up Buffalo Geothermal, and I worked under the Joseph Schmiegel heading for a year or two before we separated the businesses. And going back to my plumbing business, Tom, if you don't mind, I'll give myself a little plug. My grandfather started the business in 1935, so technically celebrating 90 years in business this year. So it was a lot of fun. But the geothermal business was fun to start, fun to do, and it just grew rapidly. And I loved every minute of being there. But unfortunately, my plumbing business was suffering, and I had a great contractor, Don Cortez, that got mad at me for leaving, so I had to come back. So I'm doing good here. But geothermal in general is a great way to heat, cool the building, make domestic hot water. It has advantages, it has disadvantages. The cost is always something that scared people.
Right.
Not to mention, how do you install it? How do you rip up my yard? Is it good for a house? Is it good for a building?
Well, when you talk about a long-term solution to the heating and cooling issue in terms of the equipment, this is a great answer. Because there's not a lot of equipment.
No, it's simple. The systems are so simple when you really think about it. Yeah, it's amazing.
Explain quickly how they work.
Okay, so let's just talk about an air conditioning system in general first, and I'll help describe a geosystem. So you have air conditioning in your house. You have a furnace in the basement that's basically an air mover that just blows air in your house. That's hot air or cold air in the air conditioning season. And you have a condenser outside with a compressor inside. So you're trying to dissipate the hot air from your house into the hot environment outside. Okay, so the condenser makes hot, the evaporator makes cold. So if I'm explaining this too quickly, let me know, Don. But basically, a geothermal system is the same refrigeration system, but rather than using the outside air as a medium to gain energy, either heat or cool, you're using the ground. Mm-hmm. So in the ground, you have pipes buried, and it transfers the energy into a refrigeration system, and depending on the season, it's either heating your house or cooling your house. So the energy, you have far more energy in the ground, 8 foot down or deeper, than you have in the air outside. Mm-hmm. So it's a very, very efficient way of working.
And what makes it expensive is all of that pipelines that have to be either buried vertically or horizontally.
Yeah, exactly. If you have enough land mass where you could dig the pipes horizontally, it's great. Mm-hmm. It's relatively inexpensive as compared to drilling. The advantage of drilling is you're making one small hole, and then you got 2 pipes coming to your house, and that's the end of it. But drilling is more expensive.
Now, there's federal money that's still available for this.
Yeah, last I knew, it started off at 33%, and it was dwindling down. Might be 30% federal dough that can help you, offset the cost of this, and the state has some incentives too. So that'll lessen the cost. At certain points in time, it's almost a parity to traditional systems. If you're going to put building a new house and you got a furnace and an air and a condenser, by the time you do geo with the subsidies, you're about the same cost as a traditional system.
Well, especially if we do end up having to go to mini splits, heat pumps, a couple systems to properly heat and cool a whole house, 3,000 square foot house, you'll need more than one system. You've got that kind of almost double cost, really. You almost have 2 furnace systems going in Again, assuming we go into 100% electrification, this, of course, would not require that amount of sophistication in terms of equipment.
Correct. And, air system heat pumps are good, but they're still not as efficient as a geothermal system.
That's right. Nothing is as efficient, correct?
No, when you're getting down to outside temperatures of 0 and 10 degrees, which we certainly see in Buffalo, maybe not for extended period of times, that's when those systems work. Don't get me wrong, they work, but
they work less.
Correct.
Yeah, they work less effectively. Yeah. Let's go to Marilla and chat with Jim. Good morning, Jim. You're on WBEN.
Good morning. I have a very strange question, I think.
Okay. You come to the right place.
Well, I want to talk about the geothermal. The first thing is, how deep in the ground does the piping system have to be for geothermal?
How deep is that the question? How deep? Yeah, 8 foot down is a typical good layer to hit a 50-degree ground temperature. About 8 foot down.
Well, then that negates my first question. Because I wondered about the possibilities of using a sand filter system that exists on the house.
The sand filter for your septic system, you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. The downside of that is, one, sand is a terrible means of transferring energy, and two, you don't want you're going to drop the outside ground temperature lower than 50 as the winter goes on. You could freeze that system. So you have to stay a good distance away from any septic system.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the second question is, if you have a well 125 foot deep that used to service your fresh water to the house but no longer used because we all have public water here now, is there a way to use a well?
There certainly is. When you do geothermal and you're doing a well, you could either do an open or closed system. A closed system is where you have a pipe that goes down and back up in the same chamber, and you're using the same water over and over and over again, and that's fine. You usually mix it with antifreeze. An open system is where you're drawing fresh water, you're using the energy, and typically you want to discharge that water back into the aquifer, so back into the system. So there is, once again, very efficient.
Mm-hmm.
Much like we're talking about the hot water heaters before, the on-demand hot waters, you have to descale these systems from time to time, maybe every 5 years or something like that. So yes, you can have an open system, providing you have enough gallons per minute for the needs of your house.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is a 10-gallon per minute recovery sufficient?
Probably, depending on the size of your house. 3 gallons per ton was the rule. So if you have a 3-ton house, that means you need 9 GPM.
That's a great advantage to have an abandoned well to be able to tap into, isn't it?
Yeah. But the thing I definitely recommend is try to get that water back into the aquifer. So if you're discharging that water to the street, God forbid your sewer, you don't want to flood the sewer with that kind of water. If you discharge it to the street, you're always going to have standing water somehow.
Could he put it back down in the well?
He can. There's different means of trying. You have to take the water. Usually you have a second well 10 feet, 20 feet away, so that water that's going back in has a chance to gain the energy from the ground again.
Mm-hmm.
So there's definitely ways of doing it, and if you want to explore it, I'd recommend it, because there are ways of doing it.
How do you know how deep it is, Jim?
Well, because I built the house and put the well in.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
But I've built quite a few houses in Morello over the years, and some of the wells here are only 40 feet deep because they're in a high water table.
Yeah. It doesn't really matter how deep your well is, as long as you're getting enough water out of it.
And it's deeper than 8 foot.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I will caution you on one thing. Is if your well ever ran out of water, because of the dry periods in the summer, that can become an issue. So you run out of water during the winter or any time, you run out of heat. That's the downside to it. So typically, the first thing I'd recommend is do a pump test or a well test. You pump twice the amount that you need. If you need 9 GPM, you pump 18 GPM for 24 hours straight. And if it can handle that, then you should be fine.
Okay, now, is that done by a well driller?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So he's the one that's going to bail the well and find out what your recovery is on a 24-hour basis.
Correct, yeah. A good well driller has all that information.
What do you think, Todd, what do you think Jim's saving in using an existing well in terms of the cost of geothermal?
Oh, very, very much so. I mean, all you have to do is, do a little bit of piping work with regards to the well inside the house. Make sure you have a good pump. You might be changing the pump from what's there to a variable speed, which I certainly recommend. But it'd be significant, maybe even half the cost at that point.
That's great.
What, can I ask a couple couple more questions?
Sure.
What is a variable speed pump?
It'll pump it based on your needs. So if your system is running at a lower need because it's not that cold outside, it'll only pump the amount of water that you need. So it'll ramp itself up and down based on the needs of your heating or cooling.
So it has a sensor within it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
I've never seen such a
Yeah.
thing.
A matter of fact, most furnaces nowadays, and Jeff from TRS were telling you, the furnaces nowadays have variable speed blower motors on them.
Right.
And even some air conditioning units have variable speed compressors on them.
So are you debating, Jim, the idea of going geothermal in comparing that to a new furnace?
That is a thought.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I still believe there's an awful lot of information that's not available to the public, and I don't believe this whole thing is going to change over January 1st.
Well, you just heard what I don't know if you did hear at the top of the show. I said that Governor Hochul finally has seen the light and is suggesting that we slow down on the electrification movement. So, yeah.
I did not hear that.
Yeah.
I missed that portion. I think I was making myself a cup of coffee.
Well, there you go.
Anyway, you mentioned one more thing, and then I'm going to let you go. You said you have an existing well, 125 foot deep, but you have to dig another well.
Well, once again, you want to get rid of that water back in the aquifer, and you just don't want to pump it to a stream or. I mean, you could, but getting that water back in the ground almost assures you you're not going to run out of water.
Mm-hmm.
Well, doesn't this recycle the water from the well?
Oh, it certainly does. Yeah, yeah. So if you keep the second well far enough away from the first well, you're the ground's gonna gain the energy back in that water, and you're gonna pump it right back up again.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, an open system is more efficient than a closed system.
It is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
When you say more efficient,
Yeah.
are you talking about 70% versus 90 or 50 versus 90?
Oh, well, those are this one in geothermal systems are 520% efficient. You go, how can you be 520? Because basically every dollar you spend on electricity, you're gaining the rest of the energy from the ground. So,
All right.
I know we have to go to
Bottom of the hour.
Yeah.
Time for the top of the news.
Jack Callahan, at least 27 people now confirmed dead, including 9 children in the catastrophic flooding along the Guadalupe River in Texas. Several people are still missing. Governor Greg Abbott signing a disaster declaration.
This will ensure all the counties that are identified in this, and there may be more that need to be added later, are going to have access to every tool, strategy, personnel that the state of Texas can provide to them.
Pardon me?
Which will be for
Tropical depression off the southeastern coast is now spun up into
well,
tropical
at
storm
least
Shannon.
now,
The National Hurricane Center says
I can't even ask them
heavy
to fill in
rainfall is
because
expected along the coastal
they
Carolinas
have
through Monday.
sports
Flash flooding is also possible with more urbanized
all
areas
week
along
long
the
with the
coastal
kids.
plain of the Carolinas.
I mean, it's
The system also
overload.
expected to bring rough surf and rip currents along the southeast U.S.
Fields in
America
the
is listening to
tournaments
Fox
this
News.
weekend. Tournament Father's Day, tournament Mother's Day. There's games every night of the week. And Nick Francesco and Sebastian starting too. So, Michelle has no interest at all. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen.
From the WBEN Paul Davis Restoration Newsroom, I'm Chris Giacobello. Here's what's happening. A Genesee County man faces life in prison after recently pleading guilty to gun and drug charges. 62-year-old Timothy Tundo admitted to charges that include intent to distribute LSD, possession of firearms in furtherance of drug trafficking, and unlawful possession of machine guns. The charges were followed after a search warrant in February of 2021 at Tundo's home. Fillmore District Common Council member Mitch Nowakowski is urging Buffalo City Department to develop a long-term plan for the Erie Basin Marina. Nowakowski stated that the area has Templeton Landing, but is only used for private bookings, and that the marina needs investing.
They don't like having
Nowakowski is
to make the
asking
time
that all parties
here,
who lease Templeton Landing
but when they're here,
and
they
the
do a
marina
great
site
job.
to come together for a well-developed plan for the area.
Yeah, at some point,
The
I mean, as the
WBEN
kids
Paul
age
Davis
out
Restoration
of
Newsroom is the news
the
feed
year
that
they're
never
in
stops.
now,
Stay in the know and
then
follow our updated X
they're
feed
gonna
for the
have more
latest
time,
by
so
following at
hopefully they'll see the light
WBEN.
and realize the advantage that it has. But yeah, somebody's got to Somebody's got to take over.
The WBEN First Alert forecast calls for this afternoon. Sunny to partly cloudy skies and very warm conditions with a high of 88.
I'm going away for
tonight,
going
clear,
to
warm
the
and humid with a low of 73. For tomorrow, windy and hot with plenty of sun in the area with a high of 90. Tomorrow night, clear, warm and humid, low 71.
On the Monday
very few clouds with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm, humid with a high of 83. On Monday night, thunderstorms, otherwise partly cloudy and humid, low 67. With the WBEN First Alert forecast, I'm Caitlin Morris.
Caitlin right now. Sunny skies, 80 degrees
so
in Buffalo.
It takes me less than 2 hours
Live,
to do that rather than be here.
Buffalo, all day long. News Radio 930 WBEN.
Hi, it's Susan Rose. If a kitchen or bath remodel is on your mind, now's the time to act.
Where do you want to go
Kitchen
next?
and Bath Unlimited is offering Kemper
finished
Echo
geothermal,
cabinets
or is there any
with
more to
all
say?
wood box construction plus an extra 20% off, saving
Difference
you
between
up to 30%
horizontal and
in
vertical.
total
I mean,
value.
vertical
Their
could mean
designers
going for
are
rock, and you
amazing.
said that's an
I worked with them
advantage.
nearly 20 years ago,
Because of
and my
heat.
cabinets are still in excellent condition. Visit Kitchen and Bath Unlimited showroom on Union near Walden and Cheektowaga. Online at kitchenandbathunlimited.net.
Stable, and they drop the pipe down.
This is Dominic Ortiz. Looking for easy, affordable exterior upgrade? Lenco Supplies has Tando Stack Stone and Beach House Shake Siding. Durable, modern, and easy to install. Get the pieces you need, channel, quarters, and panels in a variety of in-stock colors. Tando's composite siding delivers realistic textures and
I
long-lasting
think,
color
the
for
advantage
residential or commercial
compared to
exteriors.
heat pumps
Plus,
is
free
huge.
delivery on orders of over $500. Visit Lenco's three locations or shop online at
Well, you're not using as
Lenco.supply.
much electricity.
Looking to bring the gym to your home? G&G Fitness Equipment has everything you need to build the ultimate home workout space.
There's a
With
variable
premium
speed pump
treadmills and
that
bikes
moves
to
the
top
water through
quality
my
strength
backyard
equipment and
underground.
saunas, G&G
We're drawing
offers top
14
brands
watts
like
of power
Inspire
at that
Life
very
Fitness,
moment.
Matrix
At a
Ground
very low
Fitness, and
stage
more.
of
Plus,
cooling my
enjoy
house.
financing options with zero down and 0%
Little pumps,
interest.
pumping
Visit us
3,200
at
foot
Williamsville
pipe
Which is the big advantage.
or online at ggfitness.com.
Besides the pump is small.
Let us help you build your great.
Transform every room in your home
Some
with
good.
Brutal Home
Forget
Consignment.
about the whole
New
political
items arrive
aspect
daily,
of
so you
electricity
never know
versus
what
gas
you'll
and all that
find.
type of thing.
Get
This is
inspired
probably
by
more
their beautifully
contractors in
staged
Buffalo
showrooms on
$98.
Hurdle
First
Avenue
Capital
in
does
Buffalo
it.
and at
Capital
Georgetown
is
Plaza
advanced.
in
They come to your house and
Williamsville.
they'll sell you
Filled with
geothermal. You
affordable,
don't want it?
fine
Okay, we'll
furniture
put a traditional
and unique
system.
home
You're happy.
accents for
They're happy to
bedrooms,
get a sale
living
on it.
rooms, dining rooms, and more.
We
See
had
it,
so
buy
many
it,
customers
love
that
it,
I want
and take it
geothermal.
home today.
I don't.
Hurdle Home
It's not a
Consignment.
political thing.
You've got to
I
keep
just
it
want
decorated. Shop online at
Well, it's one and done, and you're, if
Hi,
you're going to
Dominic
be in the
Ortiz
house
here. If your
forever.
home heats up fast in the summer or your AC is
Yeah,
always
the cost is
running,
a typical
USA Insulation can help. Their
So
premium
face solar
foam
building
keeps
$5,000
hot air out and cool
house,
air
and
in,
you're
so your
tacking on
home stays
$20,000
comfortable
more than their
and energy efficient.
So
Right
what?
now, qualifying New York homeowners can
And
get
it's
up
gonna
to
last
80%
forever.
of the cost covered
Unfortunately,
with
granite
state and
countertops are
federal
more
incentives. They even
prettier
offer
than the
spray
geothermal
foam for
system.
businesses. Call 716-431-4500
Well, if I was to do it
or
over
go to
again, I would definitely do it.
USAinsulation.com.
No question.
That's hoping that, back in the day when you're building,
Hey, Tom,
think
Dominic
about
sent
putting
you.
your building up and then
Why is the Gorilla Floor the best resonance floor
coating
coating on the market? Simple. We're the only company bold enough to guarantee protection against the number one cause of garage floor failure, moisture. Every Gorilla Floor includes a vapor barrier and no extra cost. No shortcut when it comes to long-term protection. Protect your garage with a Gorilla Floor and say goodbye to peeling and failure. And for Hammer Time listeners, take 10% off any garage floor installation 400 square feet or more, just in time for summer.
This is Hammer Time Radio. Brought to you by Lakeshore Savings Bank, putting people first since 1891.
11:37 is Hammer Time. It's Dominic Ortiz. It's Hammer Time Radio, and it's WBEN. My guest Todd Schmiegel. We evolved our conversation from plumbing to geothermal. Todd formerly was involved with Buffalo Geothermal. He actually helped start it. Shifted back to plumbing. And just before we wrap up the conversation about geothermal, there's so many advantages. The disadvantages being cost. There are still incentives in the mix. But basically, what geothermal is a heat pump of sorts, but it uses a lot less electricity.
Yeah, where you gaining the rest of the energy is from the ground.
Right. So you're starting at a higher threshold of temperature. Mm-hmm. You're not having to bring the water up to that temperature because the groundwater has a temperature.
Yeah, the ground, it has, but you lower it during the course of the year, which is really
Right.
interesting. And so you start off at 55-degree outside underground temperature, and by the end of the season, it's 30 degrees. Like, how can you gain enough energy from 30? But you can. The ground just allows it. The ground has more substance or mass than air does. That's the answer.
Again, the cost being the obstacle of geothermal, and double, I guess, maybe even triple.
The initial cost, you're saying? Yeah, it's definitely more expensive, and most of it, like the color we just had now, who has the advantage of having a well already, is the outside work, either horizontal or drilling down. There's cost to it, and not only the cost to put it in, but the cost to restore the land after the fact.
Is it cheaper to lay horizontal than go vertical?
Yeah, yeah, but you have to have enough area to squeeze
Right.
it in.
So the good news on that is if you don't have a lot of area, you do have the option of going vertical.
Yeah, so when you're building a new house and you're looking at your property and it's all a muddy mess anyway, so putting in a horizontal system at that point is not a big deal because it's there. But if you have a pristine lawn or a nice backyard or even front yard, it doesn't matter where you put
Or
it.
retrofitting.
Yeah, it's just to try and make it look nice again. It doesn't happen, that year. It takes years to get the ground to settle down again and do that.
If you go horizontal, do you still have to be 8 feet below the ground?
Yeah, that's a good solid
So that's a
number.
lot of excavation.
It certainly is, and once a digger starts digging, it's not that big of a deal. But once again, where do you put the dirt temporarily as you're digging? You dig one trench, you put the pipe in, you backfill, and dig the next trench. And most houses will need 3, 4, 5 trenches with 3, 4, 5 series of pipes in them. It's all about heat loss.
How is that determined, the length of pipe?
The length of pipe is relatively standard. Is how many loops you put in. So the loops are connected to a manifold that includes your house. So how much do you need? Well, how big is your house? What's the heat loss in your house? Houses today, and even the additions that you're building, Dominic, are so airtight that the amount of heat you need is far less than an old leaky house.
And again, another advantage to geothermal is you can do your heating, your cooling, and your hot water.
Domestic hot water, yeah. So that's a great advantage. And then the distribution system in your house, you don't necessarily have to have ductwork. If you wanted heating, you want in-floor heating, you want to use the radiators you have in your house, you can do that as well.
And of course, you eliminate the need for natural gas by having this being an electrified system. However, it's going to consume a lot less utility than a heat pump would.
Yes, yes, it will.
So we'll see what happens with Governor Hochul's backing down on the electrification mandate. It's too early to say whether her movement away from or realizing that we're being too aggressive is going to occur in time for the January 1 drop dead date, which is what it is right now. When you think about what will happen to an electrified home when there's no backup, is scary. If you don't have a generator, a gas powered generator.
It has to be a portable generator, right? Because you couldn't even have a whole house standby, right? No natural gas coming in.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And the Heat Act was passed to no longer mandate that gas lines be part of a neighborhood, which is a setback in that the idea that there be infrastructure in place to be able to tap in for gas is no longer a mandate in the neighborhood. So a new neighborhood being developed doesn't necessarily have to have gas unless the developer or the builder wants to put it down the street.
Okay, that option I'm not familiar with.
Yeah, so this was just passed recently. My big worry is, a couple things, and we talk about this a lot. The cost of utility is substantially more for electric. The reliability substantially less. And the whole idea of what it's going to do to the cost of construction, with two heat pumps and a 400 amp service, to power all of this.
Exactly. Yeah. Is it possible to get that large of a electrical service into a house? Or, that's what they're going to have to make it.
Very good question. Yeah. And electricians that have sat where you are say that, it's possible, but you're almost thresholding on an industrial scenario in a residential setting, a commercial scenario in a residential setting. And the load, the draw on the amperages, again, the grid is tentative as it is. So, you get into all that discussions, the dynamics of the operational side of it have really not been analyzed sufficiently.
Well, here's a good side to that thought is in the summertime, a geothermal system, when it's cooling your house, uses less electricity than a traditional air conditioning unit. So when you're looking at the peak demands on a July or August day, the more geothermal that goes in, sure, it's drawing more in the wintertime, which actually helps the power company because they're making more dough using more electricity in the wintertime when their peak demand's not there, maybe not yet. But in the summertime, it reduces the amount of electrical needs because it draws less power.
This may be an unfair question, but do you have any sense of how efficient and how inexpensive a geothermal system is utility-wise to operate?
I couldn't give you dollars. Let's talk about SEER ratings. We're all familiar with SEER ratings, SEER, seasonal efficiency ratio of an air conditioning unit. And in today's standard, it's 13 SEER. So most are 13 SEER, and you want to get a better unit, it's 14 or 15 SEER. Well, that's good. So the higher the number, the less electricity you use. When you're comparing it to a geothermal system, a typical system is in the 20s, 30s, and even higher SEER rating. So you're using maybe half the cost. So I wouldn't give you dollar numbers, but I'll tell you percentage-wise.
But then you're not having a gas bill either.
Yeah.
Well, unless you. Well, what would you need gas for? Well, cooking.
Cooking, yeah. Our own house, I do have a geothermal in my house, but I have a gas heater in my garage. So am I cheating? So
supplemental an additional space.
Yeah. And then a gas dryer or gas barbecue, and we have a backup generator. So we still have the need for gas. I'd never advocate get rid of gas, but if you're looking at dollars and cents, geothermal is the way to go. It's a long-term thing, if you're...
Well, there you go. I mean, when you talk about the infrastructure being so substantial and the cost being so great, if you are in your one-and-done house and you're there forever, then the cost seems to be more of a non-issue.
Yeah, we did an amortization chart at one time for like a 30-year period owning a geothermal system, and the savings based on, the gas increasing, electric increasing, the savings were six figures, Dominic. I could try and go over those better. Buffalo Geothermal, my former company, they could do a better job of that. But it was a great amount, it was a very significant amount of money you'll save over a 30-year period, which is a typical lifespan of a heating unit.
And you're not dealing with breakdown.
Well, anything can break. If you buy a brand new car off the lot, it can break. But I would say
the lines in the ground aren't going to break.
No, that part's going to be fine. They got a 100-year warranty as long as they're installed correctly. They're all heat fused pipes. There's no mechanical joints. There's no clamps or soldering or nothing. They're all heat fused together, and that's going to last 100 years.
Yeah.
Now your heat pump inside your house is like anything else. So it'll start to wear and tear, and sooner or later you're going to change.
But the cost of replacing that is inconsequential.
Probably the same changing a furnace and air conditioning at that point.
All right. 803-0930 if you'd like to participate in this discussion, or if you want to go back to a plumbing question you might have for Todd. Open format to either, as well as anything around the house that I can help you with. Give us a call this Saturday morning here until we bring you up till noon. And Linda Pellegrino steps in for another edition of Senior Radio right here on WBN. Remember, our times shift a bit on Monday as David goes 9 till 1, and Joe Beamer starts his new show 1 till 3, and Tom goes 3 till 6, starting on Monday right here on WBN. And hats off and good luck to Joe Beamer as he launches his new program 1 till 3 here on WBN. We're enjoying our discussion with Todd about plumbing and geothermal. And again, if you'd like to jump in on that or any other conversation that you'd like to have before our show ends this morning, give us a call, 803-0930. Outside Buffalo, 1-800-616-WBEN. And the Volkswagen of Orchard Park text board, open and operating. Same as our call-in number, 716-803-0930. Our show is repeated at 6 p.m., our first hour, on Saturdays, 6 p.m. this evening, every Saturday here on WBN. So if you'd like to hear the first hour again, or if anyone that you know would like to learn more about what we talked about in our first hour with Todd, well, that's at 6 p.m. today here on WBN. Our next break is right now, but don't go away. We're back with more right after this.
Wondering where to shop for home improvements? Well, you've come to the right place. Our sponsors have proudly earned the Hammer Time seal of approval by operating with honesty and integrity. So remember, to buy right the first time, buy from a Hammer Time partner.
Hi, it's Susan Rose. If a kitchen or bath remodel is on your mind, now's the time to act. Kitchen and Bath Unlimited is offering Kemper Echo cabinets with all wood box construction plus an extra 20% off, saving you up to 30% in total value. Their designers are amazing. I worked with them nearly 20 years ago, and my cabinets are still in excellent condition. Visit Kitchen and Bath Unlimited showroom on Union near Walden and Cheektowaga.
Kitchen and Bath Unlimited.
Online at kitchenandbathunlimited.net.
Hi, it's Dominic Ortiz. Upgrade your outdoor living space this year with composite decking by Fibron, available at wholesale prices when you shop in-store, Buffalo, Williamsville, or Kenmore, or from home 24/7 at Lenco.supplies. Plus, get free delivery on orders over $500. Browse a wide selection of Fibron composite decking, durable, low maintenance, and beautiful. For easy, affordable building material solutions. Attention contractors, this is Dominic Ortiz here to remind you that Herb Company is your trusted source for top quality contractor installed products. From tankless hot water heaters to energy efficient boilers and radiant heating systems, Herb has what you need to stay ahead of the curve.
I wanted to
With
bring
building
up
code
the
changes coming
whole
next
idea
year,
of how
costs are
it's
likely to
important
rise.
to
So
events,
now's the time to lock in savings.
are
Visit herbcompany.com
functionality
or call one of our
of the
knowledgeable
dross,
sales associates
and
at
how,
825-1400 today. Plan ahead and save with Herb Company, your
event,
partner in excellence.
could be
Hi, it's
that.
Dominic Ortiz. Whenever
drain
someone
wall.
asks me, who do you call
You
for
think
roof
might be
repair or
something wrong with the
replacement, I
drain.
say call
Event
Ava
that's
Roofing
fine.
and Siding.
Yeah,
They install
that's,
over
good
1.5
question.
million
Yeah.
square
What-
feet of
what made you
shingles and
think of that?
siding annually across Western
I
New York.
actually,
When you call
I
Ava,
had
you
it in
get
my
superior
list in
service,
my head of
including
what I
expert
wanted
foreman
to bring
on
up.
every job.
So.
Get an on-the-spot free written estimate and
The
project
birds like the
drawing
nest
for your
and
roof
vents.
replacement or repair
Right?
by calling
Or,
343-ROOF or go to
the pipe going through the
avaroofing.com.
roof of the
Ava
vent,
also
any
offers
fungus issue
0%
has to be 3
financing.
inches in
When
diameter.
quality
Even though
matters,
it's maybe
call
an inch and a
Ava
half,
Roofing.
your kitchen
Lakeshore
sink has to be
Savings
3
Bank
inches.
believes in
The reason
community
for it is,
banking with
what's
exceptional
called
customer
frost,
service and local
frost,
expertise.
HOAR,
Lakeshore
frost.
Savings is here
It's
to
the
help
frost
you
that
with
builds up
all
on
your
the
financial
steam on a
needs,
cold
from
day
home
and eventually
financing
could
to small
collapse
business
and close
banking.
the vent. So the
Lakeshore
smaller the
Savings
pipe,
gives you
the greater
access
the
to
chance
local
of it
bankers who are
closing up. So
dedicated
it's
to
like
serving the community. Visit one of Lakeshore Savings
We
Bank's
should talk about
Western
the
New
whole
York branches. Call
mechanics of design of drains, because the
716-366-4070
drain
or
side
visit
is often
lakeshoresavings.com
overlooked
today.
when it comes
Lakeshore
to the
Savings
plumbing. You think
Bank,
about the water,
putting
right?
people
The
first
drains
since
are
1891.
most
What's something
important.
you need to live but rarely think about? The air you breathe. When it's hot, AC feels great until it doesn't.
You need a
Headaches,
more exciting guest
allergies,
to
even
get more.
illness could be caused by
No,
dirty
it's the
ducts. Dust, pet
holiday
dander,
and the
even
weather.
mold could be circulating through your home. Moisture plus
That's why I
debris
asked you,
equals
because it's
biofilm
always- there's
buildup.
never
Call
ending
Peter at
supply of what to talk about.
716-333-3000, extension 303. Ask about the Hammer Time discount on deep duct cleaning, air purifiers, and dehumidifiers. Breathe better, live better.
Summer in Western New York. We wait for it all year
If you ever
and
pay
live
attention
for
to
every
the
sunny
planes
minute.
that you fly
Dominic
to
Ortiz
Europe,
here.
they're
Make
always
sure your
always
home
on a
stays
fly on
comfortable
the
all
green
season
liner.
long
Yeah.
with a
Yeah.
$99 health and
Yeah.
safety checkup from
Um,
TRS Heating and Air Conditioning. Need an upgrade?
The
TRS
Dreamliner
can
was
recommend a
interesting.
high-efficiency
You
ream
could tell the
system to keep you
difference.
cool through the heat with flexible financing to fit your
air was
budget.
cleaner.
Visit TRS Heating and Air
They have
Conditioning.com for
something
details.
specific that they
TRS
do.
Heating, Air
So
Conditioning, and
less,
Electrical
I always
Excellence.
get,
Powering tomorrow, comforting today.
you know, a little stuffy nose. Didn't happen on the steel camera. It was interesting.
Stay tuned right after Hammer Time for Senior Radio
Yeah,
Buffalo,
they had
hosted
a
by
touch,
Linda Pellegrino.
a touch
Senior
sensor
Radio is
to
dedicated to
change the-
informing
there wasn't
and
a shade.
educating baby boomers and active seniors all over
We're flying
Western New York.
business class
Coming up at
to
noon.
Paris. We've never done that before.
11:52 is Hammer Time. Good morning, it's Dominic. My guest for the show has been Todd Schmiegel from Schmiegel Plumbing, and again, our plumber at Cortez Construction. Before we wrap up the geothermal discussion, and I want to shift back to plumbing, Todd. A texter's writing, what's the upfront cost for geothermal in the city of Buffalo on a small lot?
The upfront cost, well, once again, it depends on the size system. Obviously, we're going to be drilling and not doing something horizontal. A basic household, I'll speak on behalf of Buffalo Geothermal. Maybe $40,000 for a typical system. But when I think of a city house, I think of a house that's not insulated properly, and the more BTUs you need, the bigger the unit, the bigger the well.
And that's before incentives.
Yeah.
And write-offs
Yeah. And please don't quote me on that, okay? I don't want to.
Just talking in general, right? Yeah. Actually, we've got another texter. I purchased a new home 6 years ago, and the heat and air conditioner fan ran continuously. The builder said that was state law. I don't know about that. I reconnected the green thermostat wire and removed the green jumper, and for 6 years the fan functioned normally on auto. When my neighbor had his furnace worked on, the technician changed his back. Do you have any thoughts on this? I've never heard of it being mandated.
No, it's not mandated by any means. The only advantage of having the fan on constantly is to filter the air. That would be it, but by no means you have to have it on constantly.
Yeah. TRS actually recommends running the fan full time in the summer as well.
Okay, for dehumidification?
Exactly, yeah. So shifting back to plumbing for our last few minutes here together, we talk about plumbing infrastructure in a home being so vital that the balance be in place for obviously the right supply of water, but the drain side of it is another whole part of that equation. Yeah. Drain sizes are all dictated, but as it relates to that, the draw on a drain ties into the vent that it's connected to. Explain how important vents are.
Vents are... The best comparison is using a Coke bottle. You open up a Coke bottle, you turn it upside down, and it's going to gurgle out. It's not going to flow out. But if you poke a hole in the top of that bottle, the pop will flow out steadily and fast. So it's the same thing with plumbing. You need a vent on every plumbing fixture to make it work correctly. If not, it could act like the sewer's backed up. Like, why isn't the sink draining?
Why isn't it draining? Right.
Or the bathtub or the shower. So, and those vent systems, traditionally for years and years, go through the roof. They're all tied together and through the roof. More modern ways of doing it. The code for maybe the past 15 or 20 years allowed what are called air admittance valves. It's a mechanical device that allows air to go into the sewer system, but does not allow foul smell to come out.
Because that's the other side of what a vent is doing, is it's actually venting the sewer gas.
Correct, yeah, and allowing air to come in, sewer gas to leave.
Yeah. So when a vent is encumbered, you will definitely see the impact on drain capacity and drain volume.
Yeah, your toilet may not even flush. And where that could happen suddenly is the vent that's going through your roof. Maybe a bird built a nest on top of it.
Which is not unusual.
Yeah, or in the wintertime where you have frost, you have that hot air coming out of your vent. I say hot, like warm air coming out of a plumbing vent, and the heat meets the cold air, and the frost can form on top of the vent, and eventually it could actually freeze over and close the vent. That's why code...
You ever see that?
I've seen it build up. I've never seen it closed off. I've seen it build up. That's why code calls for the vent piping to go through the roof to be a minimum of 3 inches. So why do I have to have such a large pipe when it's only 1.5 inch sink you're venting? Well, it's because of what's called hoarfrost, the frost that builds up on top of the pipe.
When we compare, we talked about the evolution of water supply from lead to galvanized to copper, now to PEX. Drains have evolved too.
Yeah.
From what? Cast iron,
galvanized, copper, and PVC. This a lot of times one of the reasons I like working for you down the houses in the city are all cast iron and galvanized. And being an old school plumber, I still know how to deal with those and be able to correctly convert them to plastic. But plastic's the choice for any drain or vent today. There's no reason to do anything else with that.
It's become universal, right?
Yeah. Correct.
When you talk about working in the city, we see a lot in terms of the age of the architecture that we work in. If you remember the job on Ashland, where bathrooms had been added during the process of the house being built, it seems to me, I don't know this for a fact, but it seems to me that a bathroom was added where there wasn't one. And what they did is they cut through the floor joists to bring the drain lines through, so much so that they compromised the integrity of all the floor joists. And the house was actually being held up by the plaster and lath.
Oh, goodness.
If you can believe that. So when we gutted the plaster and lath, we actually saw movement. that was going to actually lead to collapse.
I do recall that job.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, a big kitchen in the back of the
Yes.
house. Yeah.
Yeah.
Building codes and plumbing codes are strict, and they're for a good reason. You know, you want your toilet to flush, you want your house to stand, so we need to follow these codes.
If you are adding a bathroom and you do have to think about running the lines, that's a big consideration, right? Because you need the pitch.
Correct.
And you don't want to compromise the integrity of a joist.
Yeah, and it seems like every architect in the world wants to put a was it land beam? What's the correct term for
Yes.
it? Right where you need to put our piping.
Yeah.
So, if any architects are listening, please.
Well, you know, it's all about the thought process of layering, you know, the pieces of a house, you know, in sequence so that everything fits together, including the mechanics.
Yeah, and it's the I guess the challenge that I still enjoy to try and figure out how we're going to get that from there to there and not compromise the structure of the house or the integrity. You know, you're designing a house to make it look pretty. You don't want any pipes sticking through it; they shouldn't be.
And the pitch.
Oh yeah, anything up to 3 inches have a 1/4 inch pitch per foot, and larger is an 1/8 inch pitch per foot. So yeah, we got to make sure it goes downhill.
Because the other thing is then you're talking about maybe adding a pump into the equation if you don't have the right pitch, or if you have to pump up to the sewer.
Yeah, if in the basement, you do a bathroom in the basement, your sewer is obviously not below the floor anymore, and you have to use a sewage ejector and to move it away.
Yeah. Now those are generally reliable, but then again, you have the consequence of them being electric, and if in a power outage, you lose the functionality of that bathroom.
Exactly. So I guess it's a good thing to keep in mind. Your power goes out, use the bathroom upstairs.
When we look at plumbing fixtures, we've had representatives on from Kohler. We've had other brands mentioned. There seems to be a big kind of, I guess, gap or range, I should say, in plumbing fixture quality. Do you see that increasing, or is it basically a standard now that we know the better names are better quality, the lesser brands, less quality?
I guess I'll have to go with that. Once again, working on many of your jobs, all you do is supply good, solid plumbing fixtures. And at the end, like I said, I don't get a phone call the next day, or you don't get a phone call saying, why isn't something working? It's not the plumbing, it's not the installation, it's
the quality of the fixture.
Yeah.
So. Well, time's whizzed by, as it always does here on Hammer Time Radio. Todd, I want to thank you for spending the time with us.
Happy to be here, Dom, anytime.
Yep, Jerry Craig, excellent job. And stay tuned, the news is at noon. We're back next Saturday for another edition of Hammer Time Radio, 10 till noon here on WBN. Don't forget, our day parts change on Monday. David goes 9 till 1. Joe Beamer launches Beamer Radio 1 till 3. And Tom Bowerly, 3 till 6. In the meantime, have a great week. Enjoy the rest of the holiday. And always remember, life may be hard by the yard, but by the inch, it's a cinch. Hey, everybody.
WBEN Buffalo.